Oh, what's going on, everybody? It is Coach Greg Adams back in here with another YouTube live stream. Shout out to the Coach Gang.
And that's you.
For being in here, being involved, and being active on this YouTube channel. Well, welcome to Tuesday Night Titans. We got a lot of news. All right, where we take the big girls and we make them disappear. All right. But you in here with the Bruce Wayne, the King of Kings, the King of Content, and the Speaker of Truth, yours truly, the Notorious One, a.k.a. Mr. Coach Alini, better known as the prognosticator Coach Jadamas, and you're in the Desert Storm bunker with none other than EWF. That is every woman's fantasy, but you could call me CGA, see God Allah. I'll be the 12-time demonetized champion of YouTube. Great show for you lined up today. We got the vice presidential debate. This might be a long show. All right, they're supposed to kick off at 6 o'clock or maybe 7 o'clock. I don't even know what time they're going to kick off. Maybe 8 o'clock for all I know. But we'll have that live. We'll do it live with the vice presidential debate. We're also going to review two former NBA gangbangers, all right, been chosen to interview Kamala Harris, all right, and we're going to go through portions of the stream to see if they lob softball questions at the possible next black woman president of the United States of America. We're also going to break down Doom and Gloom CGA, including Puff Daddy, Diddy, P. Diddy, with 120 new allegations. 120 new allegations. We're going to tell you where they came from and what he is going to face. And no, they're not going to open up Hugh Hefner anytime soon. Black folks, let's take this L. Black folks, take the L. P. Diddy was a problem out here for 30 plus years. All right, and we also have, as much as I can fit into today's show, possibly a Rachel Riz featuring a prominent dating coach that young men follow. All right, and apparently a young woman saying that she did not agree with her being posted across the internet. Anyway, to contribute to today's show, $, the Notorious CGA on the Cash App. Venmo is Coach Greg Adams TV. Coach Greg Adams TV, and PayPal is paypal.me/Coach Greg Adams, and that is near the top of the description box on the Free Agent Lifestyle channel, when you can super chat by clicking the link on the top of the live chat on the Free Agent Lifestyle channel. It's pinned up there this time. It's pinned up there this time. All right, we got so much to cover. We're going to get right into it. I got to get up to the earlier contributors to today's show. Let's get into it. Shout out to D. No government name. NGN. DMW. He says, not Coach saying he'd knock off that Skeletor-looking chick in space. Coach, on the last one, he says right here, Coach, on the last one, left side of the game. I'm not sure what that says. Ring the Undertaker bell. But anyway, I'd knock it off if I was stuck in space. I would. All right, why not? Ain't nobody gonna know. All right, but me and her. It's just me and you. Ooh, baby. I'll be up there Love Jonesing that Skeletor. All right, for sure. And I make sure she don't know about it. Hey, I don't want nobody to know about it at all. Shout out to XL Pro Services back in the building. Coach Gang, salute. Shout out to you, Jeff the producer, back in the building on the Cash App. Appreciate y'all back in the building. Shout out to the military people giving us some insight on the game of the military women. By the way, military women and marriages are disastrous. So I don't want to hear shit about people saying not all. All right. Yes, indeed. And that's all we'll do for this particular part of the show. 100%. Let's get into some Tuesday night gorditas. Let's get some gorditas on your screen. And we got an appearance by Slim Thug coming up here, not in the gorditas, but later on in today's show. Let's get the music going with some gorditas, some Texas-sized gorditas coming up on your screen. On your left, wait till you see these gorditas. The torta season is reserved. Wait till you see the Fupa Prince going crazy. Here we go. Get it, girls. Hey, oh yeah. Ooh, look at all that loving back there. Box booty, refrigerator built. Oh my goodness, them girls. Woo-wee. Oh, torta loving. McLovin. Oh man, boy, how do they get all of that fat on one body? All right, that's crazy. That's crazy how a body can do that, man. Boy, you can do anything to a human body. Oh my God. Hey, come on, Tia. Look at Tia shaking that jelly. Hey man, that must be salsa. Cause jelly don't shake like that. Hello. Oh, look at her. Got them feet and legs moving. Hey, oh, get it. Yeah, that's some good loving downstairs right there. Hey, baby, you ain't got no skill, but I like to see you dance. You just moving around. Whose Tia is this? Hello. Hey, she moving it. She moving it. Hello. Hey, let's get it, girls. It ain't a Diddy. Oh, my goodness. Right?
Oh, the humanity.
Wow. That is some impressive body shaping right there. Oh, look at this right here. Look at this.
What the hell? Oh, my God. No way.
There is no shame left in America. Oh, my goodness. Oh, look at this. Look at that back. I mean, oh, she got the food. Woo-wee. Hello. Come on. Let me at her. Let me at her. That's a lot of woman. Hey, these. Oh, another Tia. Get it, Tia. Come on. Go. Get it. Get it. Ooh, shit. She heavy upstairs. Boy, is she healthy. All right. She healthy as hell upstairs. Oh, my goodness. What is this?
Oh, the humanity.
What kind of body shape is this? Oh, my goodness. Look at this ninja right here.
Oh, the humanity.
Oh, my goodness. She's spilling out of what's left of that bikini. Oh, look at this ninja. Oh, my goodness. Oh, man.
Oh, the humanity.
Oh, my goodness. This is a ninja's dream. Look at this.
Oh, the humanity.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. She loving it. This ninja done blew his own back out. Ah, yeah, look at this little mighty might. Tiny but deadly. Oh, man. We got the Chiquitas, too. Hey, we got the Chiquitas, the pretty feet Latina. Let's see that right here. Oh, my goodness.
What the hell?
Oh, my goodness.
No way.
Ooh-wee.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Wow, look at that, gentlemen. Who said, is that good or bad? Them shorts are painted on. Look at this one right here. What in the world? Man, this is crazy. Wait, sorry.
Oh, the humanity.
That is something else right there. Boy, oh boy. Ninjas is going crazy. They showing teeth.
Niggas always gotta show they teeth.
Who wants it right now? Who wants some of that? Oh my goodness, that thing stank. You know that thing stank right there. That is junky. That is a lot of junk up in there. Oh my goodness. Wowzers, man. What is this?
What the hell? Oh my God. No way.
Ooh, junky, man. That is some junky shit. All right. Anybody good? Anybody think that's a good one right there? All right. Ninjas are trying that out tonight. Oh, my goodness. All right. Any women shaped like that watching my show? Any women shaped like that? Let me know. We can have y'all test it out. We're going to test it out live. We'll do it live. Come on in the studio. All right. That is a lot of junk back there. All right. I'm going to pass for now. All right. I'm going to pass. All right, I know that's going to be a nasty, sloppy night. All right, what are we doing here? Let me get to some earlier contributors. Let's see if y'all have waken up. We got a lot. This is an action-packed show. I have so much that I need to cover. It's ridiculous. All right, I don't even know how I'm going to cover it all. And I got a time. I'm up against the time window of the VP debate. You guys are going to have to let me know when they pop up here then because I got so much to cover. Let me see if I can get to some super chats, if there's any. If there's any. Shout out to Macaroni Tony, says that union strike story reminds me of Jimmy Hoffa. Bada boom. He says, if you know, you know. Yes, indeed. They said, we'll bury you over here. All right. Yes, indeed. The mafioso running the other side of the contract. Allegedly. All right. That means it's time to get into the show, man. What do we got first? What's first? Doom and Gloom CGA. All right. Let's catch up with all the news. Doom and Gloom CGA brought to you by the All right, you guys, man, so much to cover here. Apparently, if you guys didn't miss, if you missed it, Iran has struck missiles on Israel, about 10 minutes of missile fires. And as if you missed it, there are the missiles coming in, thanks to the Thunderdome, the Iron Dome out there, as you can see. The Iron Dome was trained to intercept many of these missiles. We don't have the full report coming up here, but this is real time going on right now. This is real time. So the Iron Dome, paid for and sponsored by many of the dollars, the millions and millions and millions of dollars that America has sent over to Israel. Iran basically making a statement, striking out at Israel in real time. When they started to strike out, it was pretty much, I think the United States alerted Israel of this. And yeah, it was raining down bombs over Baghdad. Unfortunately, you know, we don't know what the damage is. And Israel said, we just going to accept these bombs. You know what I mean? And I think Iran pretty much was like, we know what's going to happen. You guys are going to intercept many of these missiles and nothing's going to happen. There's going to be very little damage. But as you can see, they're on the other side of the border right there. Many of these hitting their targets, many of them not hitting their targets. All right, but Iran basically said, we got to do what we got to do. We got to make a statement. Unfortunately, new world order. For us and the rest of the world, here's the deal. Israel is going to strike back. All right, Israel is going to strike back, and they're planning their attack, and it's probably going to be ugly. All right, and interesting enough, this happened to the last time when Hamas attacked Israel. All right, and for the most part, Israel was like, oh, okay, you going to do us that? And then they came back with a vengeance. So we can almost anticipate there's going to be some striking back, and it's going to get mad ugly. As a matter of fact, the prime minister over there in Israel, his name slips my mind as I was speaking about it. He already said, we got to do what we got to do, and it's going to be ugly. All right, so it's going to be ugly for Iran and whoever else was behind that particular missile attack. And Iran probably knows it. Unfortunately, both of these have nukes. We do have nukes involved in this one, and we're on the precipice of a war. Yes. New world order. We're on the precipice of a war. I mean, these type of things, I mean, world wars have been started on less than this, just so you guys know. Netanyahu, thank you. Benjamin Netanyahu said, we got to do what we got to do. Essentially, we just going to blow your spot up. So it's going to be ugly on that side, and I know people are going to take sides. I'm not taking a side on this one. We're just showing you what's happening in relationship to you as the regular Joe here. Israel's going to strike back deadly. All right, and that's what they're going to do. It's going to be a massacre, and then people are going to say, these poor people over here, and then people are going to pick sides. But we're on the precipice of, yes. New world order. All right. You're messing with people that got nukes on both sides. So this could get really ugly really fast, and it's going to have, by the way, somebody said Israel is the 51st state. Well, yeah, I mean, any interaction that Israel gets in, the United States will be behind, and so forth and so on. I mean, they're basically have a war pact with each other that anybody messes with them, it becomes an issue for the United States. So not only do we have this, we also have the issue over there in Eastern Europe. We also have in our election. And where is Joe Biden? Anybody know where he is at? Has he commented? He's probably commented on this one, but Joe Biden, did you have anything to say?
Are you a freshman at the university?
No.
You look like a freshman.
All right. So, you know, the U.S. is going to back Israel no matter what. And so they already know this. So, yes, we're on the precipice of something very, very interesting. Never thought it would happen in my wartime, in my lifetime. And as Albert Einstein said, well, I don't know what World War III. Well, I don't know the results of World War III, but I know World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know what World War III will be fought with, but I know World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Essentially, you're looking at doom and gloom time at this point. I mean, we are here. And by the way, thank you to the Biden administration. We're here. All right. And Kamala Harris is a wartime president. I hope you guys know. She's pro-war. She's pro-Israel. So she's pro-war. And of course, her husband, well, I can't say.
I'm not going to say what race, what people. We know I can't say that.
All right. Shout out to them right there. We got more stories here. Yes, we covered the dock strike earlier this morning. And Tony over there told you they're going to ruin the whole thing. But let's cover this. The Better Bachelors out there in Tennessee. And he said the Tennessee Hillbillies are tough bread. He says, when the government is missing, men still do the work. Apparently, Joe Biden said they're not going to send much aid or assistance down to help anybody in North Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. But this is the Better Bachelor here driving around. Shout out to Joker. All right, he just put out a video. Well, that's him. Okay, that's a house off the foundation here. All right, I'm pretty sure people are dealing with some more dire situations than this. But this is the result of Hurricane Helene in the hills there, them are hills there in Tennessee. And houses are off the foundation. The rednecks are really finding a way. Apparently, the traditional gender roles have returned that fast. Better Bachelor said the women are cooking and cleaning and the men are trying to help the infrastructure. Gender roles have returned down there in them our hills down there in Tennessee.
Really get back in here. It's way worse than I ever expected. A lot of the debris, again, is stuff that you'd see inside a house. A hot water heater, a couch just sitting up in a tree. I didn't get video of it earlier, but there was the siding of a FedEx truck that was kind of pinned and propped up on the side of some of these trees. Just so much rubble and debris. These poor, and they still have nothing. No water, no electricity. They don't even have heat or air conditioning, which isn't bad right now. It's not that hot. But they're
you see a man, you see a redneck right there. All right, he on the side of the road. Fix your windshield, brother. All right, but there's an old man right out there. All right, hey, when times get tough, men start having to go to work, man. All the alpha males are outside. All right, all the alpha males, the family men, they're out there doing what they need to do to survive because, hey, they ain't got nothing else left. Let me go ahead and show you this particular portion of the video.
Water was all along the fence line and everything up here. Just crazy, man. Here I decided to get out of the vehicle and do a little bit of a walk around. And this was part of this building. It was just right on the water's edge. All these stones and some of this was riverbed, but a lot of it wasn't. And the water was so strong it just removed trees and it moved the silt down the road so that all was left were the big heavy rocks. There was a bridge that went across to another building on the far side.
Was a bridge. All right, but he said the gender roles, he said it's already a conservative area, but the gender roles have been instituted right again, all right, at this particular time. All right, and I know there's people across the country that have been dealing with this, Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee.
All of it's just gone. There were a lot of houses down here, apparently small ones, on the other side of the bank over there, at least somebody told me, and they're just gone now. There's just nothing left.
Now, there go the men. The men, it's time to get to work. Put all the YouTube down. Ninja, get your ass out there. Get to work.
And it smells like septic and mud. So there are some septic tanks that burst. And
I saw a woman in there. All right, there's some redneck women that'll get out in there too, bruh.
Gosh, man, they're just such tough people. I'm really, you guys.
All right, and shout out to the Better Bachelor. He came out and he actually bought grocery carts full of food for the people and went to donate them at donation spots. Check him out right there. That's your boy. And if you don't know Better Bachelor, go ahead and find him on YouTube, Joker. You probably know him and probably have found him before you found me. But he's donated even diapers and things that people could not get to because they didn't have a 4-wheel drive. So there's your boy, Joker. Shout out to Joker in the building. All right, and he's doing his part too. All right, he could easily be sitting up in the crib chilling. He's doing his part too. Shout out to him. And yeah, man, ain't nothing wrong with getting out here helping some people, man, and doing what men need to do to restore the true dominance. When everybody says when shit hits the fan, people are gonna need help. There's your boy Bachelor Joker helping the people. All right, he's the people's champion right now of YouTube. Shout out to Better Bachelor. That's Doom and Gloom CGA. All right, let's get to it. Let's do Straggle and Sniggle Theater, and then we'll get to the Super Chats.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Straggle
and Sniggle. All right, I know. Lots of cheering going on right here. Straggle Sniggle Theater. We have this guy right here. Apparently you can't let everybody testify in church. You know what I mean? When it's altar call and testimony time, it says this dude reveals his mother's darkest secret in front of the entire church. Let's hear it.
Y'all might know me, some may not. I'm the black sheep, but I'm also Agnes' son. I wanted to thank New Hope for helping me and my family in a time of need. Our home caught on fire a couple of months back, and New Hope came through. You guys really helped us out, and I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I'm sorry, myself and my family, we greatly appreciate it. You know, a while back when I was younger, the church was a pillar of the community. When you needed help or when you needed something done, you went to the church. I'm saying it's good to see that that's still going on today. Now, for my second order of business.
Oh, no. Oh, no. You know something's up. Your second order of business. As you can see, the guy's in a wheelchair. I don't know his circumstances, but probably got shot. All right. His second order of business. You know when people do this and they're pausing for effect, it's not going to be good. Let's hear his second order of business.
I'm going to keep it good. You know me, I keep it funky.
Hey, the dude, the pastor was like, keep it good, my ninja. Keep it good. What is it?
There's some things that's going on inside this church.
Oh, no.
My mother is messing with Mr. Nate. He's a married man. I thought I told you to keep it clean.
Oh, the humanity.
Pastor says, I thought I told you to keep it good. Oh, no. Deacon Clapcheeks at it again.
Oh, the humanity.
Oh, no. I thought I told you to keep it good.
It is clean. No, sir. To God be glory.
Oh, no. They cut him up. Oh, Lord. Not in the Lord's church. Not your mama out here with Mr. Nate. Oh.
In the streets.
Mr. Nate, not your mama out here. I told you.
Streets.
I told you some of your mamas is 304s. You have to deal with it. And my brother is disappointed in his mammy out here with Deacon Clapcheeks, Mr. Nate. Oh, no. And Pastor, like, I thought I told you to keep it clean. You airing out the church's business. But he like, that's my mama. Your mama's a hoe.
In these streets.
All right, why you put your mama on Front Street? Hey, sometimes you need to put your mama on Front Street. Mr. Nate, you got some explaining to do. Deacon Clapcheeks, Mr. Nate. All right, Straggle and Sniggle Theater. Well, you know what? I might put this later on in today's show. I'm going to switch it. All right, Straggle and Sniggle Theater. Is this normal behavior in relationships?
Oh, the humanity.
You don't care. You never care.
Oh, man. All right.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
All right. She did have a Mexican flag up, so it looks like this is a gordita. I thought it was a pog, but we definitely looking at a gordita. And look at her dirty ass feet. Oh, my goodness. This gordita going through it. Look at these floors. Nigga, it's time to redo your floors, fam. Look at this shit right here. Oh, my goodness. Redo your floors. I see there's a Mexican flag in the background. Gordita down. All right. This type of immature children with breast here. Definitely a child with breast and definitely having a mental breakdown. It looks like she showered at least. Maybe. Her hair is wet. I don't know what is going on. She definitely crashing out. Ma'am, you need to go. Look at her feet. Oh, Ninja, y'all still would hit it like this. Look at this. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. What is going on here?
You don't care. You never care.
Oh, no. Yeah, man. She didn't get her way.
Oh, the humanity.
Yeah, you might want to. And look at those feet. Oh.
Oh, the humanity.
Look at those feet. Oh, something's going on, man. Yeah, they're just having a breakdown. Anybody ever been in a relationship like that? All right, anyway. Straggle Sniggle Theater here. What race, folks, do you think this is? Here we go.
All right, Peanut. Nova. Kai. Oops. Nala. Oh. Easton.
Oh, no.
Oh, the humanity.
All right, good job, everybody. I think I have enough for one more round. Nova.
Hey, Nova.
Peanut.
Peanut.
Kai. Nala. Easton.
Oh, no. This can only be one race of people. This can only be white folks. All right, this is definitely white folk activity right here. All right, white folk, what y'all doing today?
Hey, bro, come on now, dog.
We eating
Come on, man.
This is definitely white women. White women love to they like this shit. White women, this is what they do. You know what I mean? Like they find no problem doing this shit. The dog's mouth is as clean as a human being's. All right, what? What? Are we feeding our babies off of the fork of a dog now? This is what we letting go? We share in this family. Oh, hell no.
All right, Peanut.
Jesus.
Nova.
And had the nerve to name the dog Nova.
Kai. Oops.
How many dogs do you need?
Nala. Oh. Easton.
There it is right there. Hey, on camera. Did you please? Be careful what white women you date, bro, because they will do this to your kids. They have a high likelihood, liable. They liable to do this. All right. And they see nothing wrong with it. They be playing with the dog, having them lick. I got pictures. All right. What do we got here? We have Straggle and Sniggle Theater here. Oh, white girls again. White girls again. You're about to catch some wreck. All right. Fetishes. You know, let me see here. What's going on? White women have the craziest fetishes. So do white men. They bought some wild fetishes. All right. I know Diddy's got some fetishes too. But let's take you to this woman out here. You see the girl right here sitting on Chad and Ty. Oh, sorry. This is Pookie and Ray Ray's laps. And we got a whole white doll. Flat back. She flat front ways and back ways. All right. Blonde hair. All right. A lot of people be like, oh, they're a princess. They're so innocent. What did I tell you about these women, man? They not as innocent as you.
Why did you break?
All right. Listen to this conversation that this snow bunny is about to make, this confession.
Why did you break up with your ex?
Because he kidnapped me. He kidnapped me from my work. And then, so they came, they raided his house. I was there, they checked me, and I left.
Wait,
and he's still in porn to this day.
Wait, he kidnapped you for real?
Yeah. But my work took me back to his place because he wanted me to go live with his grandparents because I was such a whore.
What?
Yeah.
No fucking way.
Yep, we love it. Why do you think we have a kidnap kink now?
My ninjas. I tell you about these slut babies.
Hey, bro, come on now,
She
dog.
barely legal. Hey, listen.
Come on, man.
Don't talk about legal, because these girls, these slut babies, when they start doing slut baby activity, they do it when they're like 14 and 13. Hey, don't at me. Don't ask me how I know. But when they fall off the rail, it's not when they're 18. They do this when they hella young. So apparently she has a grape kidnap kink. And look at the ninjas. Look at these ninjas right here. These ninjas is like, you know, ninjas don't do stuff like this. You know, they do get invited to the party. So it gets worse, guys. It gets worse. So hold your hats.
You know?
So like, if we kidnap you right now, you gonna get horny?
Oh yeah, I have like 5 different people with my location specifically so that they could like come and kidnap me.
Oh shit. Oh. Can we have your location?
Of course.
I'll bet
Well,
then.
if you're really about it.
I'm really about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with
Prove it.
I'm telling you, man. And then they be playing the victim in court. They put on a cardigan sweater and they pull their hair back in a little ponytail. They pull their little hair back in a librarian ponytail, and she looked like a choir girl. Talking about he did this and then Pookie did it up the Duke shoot. They be in there crying and lying, thoughting and plotting. But she talking big girl talk right there, ain't she? She talking big girl talk. Look at her. And she said, I'll be percolating.
Oh, shit. Oh, can we have your...
And look at this, man. Yo, wowzers. Something's going on here, bro. You need to check the ID. She got a Care Bear shirt on. Oh, my Lord.
Location?
Of course.
I bet
Well, if you're really about it.
Oh, no. Look at this, this nigga. That's how Emmett Till got. That's how Emmett Till got.
Gotcha, bitch.
All right, the woman was up there talking about you need to do this and stick it up there. Emmett Till did it, and then guess what? They got him.
Gotcha, bitch.
All right, that fast. All right, and Ninja's going to fall for it. Hook, line, and sinker. Only to be in court trying to explain. See, what happened was, Judge, she talking big girl talk. All right? All of a sudden, she going to be in there crying, and they kidnapped me. They stole my location. All right, yep. Everybody thinks these girls are innocent, man. I do not think so. I'm one of the people here, although I'm not going to say people deserve what they get, but I know girls are nasty. All right, they nasty. They're not as innocent as they portray. And then he texts me something, and then all of a sudden I didn't know what it was. And then he asked me, do I like to put it up the Duke shoot? They be acting like they don't even know what happened, and I'm a victim. All right, but they be out there talking big girl talk when they be high off the coca.
Kidnap kink now. You know?
So like, if we kidnap you right now, you gonna get horny?
Oh, yeah. I have like 5 different people with my location specifically so that they could like come and kidnap me.
Bruh, I mean, where do you come up with that? Jesus. How old do you have to be to come up with this? And they be like 14, 15, 16 coming up with this shit. And look at these ninjas' faces. Ninja, y'all trying to get hung up and strung up on this one, bruh. You going to jail for sure. Yeah, she definitely smokes a lot of weed.
Oh, shit. Oh, can we have your location?
Of course.
I bet
Well, if you're really about it.
Oh, no. Look. This ninja up there, he gonna get on the witness stand.
I can do some shuffling too. Look out, man, what you gonna do?
It's a trap.
It's coming through. Yeah, man, yeah, man.
Hey, do not fall for this, my ninjas. All right, you asking for it. You asking to go to jail for life. All right, yeah, that's Dragon with Sniggle Theater.
Like, ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right?
Straggle and Sniggle. How about that, guys? You definitely going to jail. All right, I hope it's going to be worth it, all right, because you going for the long ride if anything happens to any hair on that head, all right? Any hair on that head, you going for the long ride. All right. Anyway, Caitlin says this looks like Devontae Adams wants out of the Raiders. Would you be upset if the Chiefs got him? They ain't never trading him to the Chiefs. He's probably going to the Jets. They ain't never trading him to the Chiefs. I can almost guarantee and bank on it. All right. That ain't going to ever happen. All right. But they'll have to go to the Jets first. He ain't going straight to the Chiefs. There ain't no way in hell. Shout out to our brother, no government name, Mitchell. Stop bringing political CGA. Just stick to disrespecting women, hating men, convincing them to become tricks and grifting for money. Shout out to you. All right. Anyway, appreciate that one right there. I'll come back with that sound effect. All right. Giving them ammunition. Shout out to Macaroni Tony. He says the union strike reminds me of the Jimmy Hoffa. And he says 2-party systems share the same colors of the 2 largest gangs. Yep. In our country. He says, oops, y'all not ready for that conversation. This is facts. All right, blood in Crippin. You need a whipping. Shout out to our brother, the dictator, says, keep that same smile in your mugshot. For sure. Keep that same smile in your mugshot because you're going to have that same smile right up in there. Okay? When you in there getting that mugshot. Okay? Keep that same smile, my ninja. I hope it's going to be worth it. It's going to feel like it's worth it when you're doing it. All right? 5 years later, a year later, you're going to wish you ain't did it. Let's play Rate Your Riz. Let's get some Riz out here. Rate Your Riz. Hey, that's Crime and Law CGA. We got some crimes to report, too. Let's rate some Riz while we're at it. All right, how many Rizzes do we have? We got 3 Rizzes. We're going to rate your Riz. The first one, I've seen this video before. It's a video of somewhere. I believe it's a college. I'm hoping it's a college. If it's a high school, this would be crazy. We have an OnlyFans pimp. It says, ain't no way they got OF recruiters at the school. They have a career day. But the guy here is an OnlyFans recruiter. All right. So as you can see here, they have all kind of careers, but these ninjas got pamphlets. And it says your financial career starts here. There he is talking to a couple of young women thinking about getting on the OF bandwagon. This looks like Florida International University. New world order. And look, there's a table over there. The fat girls at the table over there, they mad that they got that table. Florida International University. This is real. And these guys looks like they're OnlyFans managers. They pulled up on career day. And why does he look like the typical? Why do you got that earpiece on your ear? All right, and look at him. This ninja smiling. He got the crooked smile and all that. He running some major pimp game. Pimp. All right, he's been listening to too much pimping. Look at him. He pimping effectively. He pimping viciously. Look at him pimping. All right, there you go right there. Look at a pimp. He says, get with a real pimp and make a pimp dollar. Look at this ninja. All right. All right, there it is right there. Look at him. He's like, come with a real pimp. I'll put you on, baby. We'll make a pimp dollar. All right, there he is right there. Look, he handing out brochures. Come make your career change. He trying to get the baddies. Oh, no. All right, he trying to get the baddies right there. Look at him. Take that. And then look at the other girls. They don't want it. They want real careers. All right, look at him. Everybody looking at this ninja. All right, and there he is. He got some baddies. He putting something in their ear. He pimping at their ear. OnlyFans recruiter. It says right, look at OnlyFans recruiter. Oh, no. Rate. No, I know there's no sound, goof ass ninja. All right, here we go right there. And the girls, ooh, these little fine Latina over there. Fine Latina. Look at that ninja sniggling. He got the crooked smile. You know when you can't trust a ninja who crooked smiles. All right, yeah, look, you get you an OnlyFans. She's like, Kaylee's like, no, I don't want my father to find out. All right, and there he is right there. Look at him over here. Rate his Riz. All right, rate his Riz. What do you think, man? Is this pimping effectively? I want to catch him with his crooked smile ass ninja. All right, there he is right there. Look at that goof ass ninja look. That's a goof ass Mac Daddy ninja look right there. Look at him. All right, he chilling.
Niggas always gotta show they teeth.
All right, right there. Florida International University got some good looking women. They do. All right, it's right out there, right outside Miami. All right, so good looking women out there. He's in the right place. Rate his Riz. All right, he's trying to help them fix his mind. All right, it's all good. All right, rate his Riz. We got an individual here. We got a Pookie. All right, let's go ahead and play the video. It says she called her boyfriend to order food for us, not knowing she's laid up with me. All right, so you got the guy here. Normally, you see the look on his face. He looks like he's accomplished something great in his life, and he needs to show the world. Let's go ahead and play the video here. Dirty Mackin 101.
Hello.
Soldier.
What you doing?
Just got on. What you doing?
Nothing. With my friend. Can you order me some food?
Yeah, what you want?
I think is Chick-fil-A still open?
No.
Oh, okay. Probably like Applebee's. Applebee's, yeah.
Applebee's. You into it?
No, that's why I'm asking you to send me some food.
All right, what happened to her edges? She got a nice little body there.
What you want?
Hold on.
All right, so there's the woman there. Nice little body. She looked like she's very flexible, and you can fold it up, too.
Just get whatever. I'm gonna eat whatever.
Can you do the 2 for $20? It's the loaded mashed potatoes, chicken, and then the fajitas.
She just got that.
And two large lemonades.
All right, he said she just got it. I guess she just got done eating the dick up, I suppose. I'm not sure.
The fajitas and then the 2 for $20.
2 for $20?
Mm-hmm.
What you need 2 meals for?
Cause it's me and my friend. We hungry.
Fuck your friend.
My friend, you don't know her.
I don't know her.
Okay, so just send it. Don't be like that.
What you mean don't be like that? Let me see your friend.
Why do you want to? Don't do that. You are not my dad.
First of all, where you at, dude?
I'm downtown.
All right, so the guy right here, he definitely can feel it. He was like, nah, bitch, you ain't getting me. All right, I can hear it in your voice, you strag. You ain't getting me.
Tell me downtown.
Yeah. Why are you acting like that? Are you gonna send it or not?
Shit.
All right, and so look, that's the face of look at what I did. That is definitely the male face of look at what I did. You know, the whole like it was effortless. All right, effortlessly right there. Look at what I did. I've accomplished the greatest goal of my life. Obviously, as a man, you know, when you're young, you might think that. But what do you think about this, man? Is this proper Riz dirty macking like this, knowing that, you know, you're messing with another guy? This is definitely asking for it, but it is what it is. You know, you hope that it's worth it. I don't engage in this type of activity at all. You asking for it. And, of course, the funny thing about it is this is typical Pookie behavior. You got a boyfriend who's willing to pay for your lunch, and you're calling on him, and you're dealing with a nigga that ain't sitting there. He going to pay nothing. For some reason, this is an accomplishment, right? I don't know. Dudes be like, I've accomplished something great. I got him paying for me. I mean, I'm telling you, brothers, that is not, I mean, I don't know what guys think. I know you guys think that this is an accomplishment. I'm just here to tell you, not very much. Not the biggest accomplishment of your life. Discount coochie commie ninjas. All right, dirty macking is not a flex. All right, not a people will tell you, but it's a cold, evil world out here, ain't it? Rate is Riz. A lot of guys think that they're doing something there. All right, they'll be like, I'm really out here doing it. All right, Rachel Riz. We have a guy, a dating coach. He goes by McQueen. He's definitely been featured here on this channel before. He has this fine Puerto Rican that he's going to cold approach, but something happens. As you can see right there, take a look at that. That's why I want me a Puerto Rican right there, brothers. Holy mackerel. All right, but you know, these are the type of guys, they go around and they record women without the other women, without them knowing, and then they run some game on them, and then they post it on the internet. I'm not a big fan of that at all, because something's wrong with it. We're going to figure out what's wrong with it here. Let's go ahead and play the video.
Excuse me, miss. I just wanted to say I think you're very beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's your name? Elianis McQueen. Nice to meet you. Where are you from?
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Oh, my. I need to be in Puerto Rico.
Oh, okay. ¿Te gustan los hombres negros?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just fucking with you. I'm trying to practice my Spanish. Yeah, I like your earrings.
Thank you.
Yeah, you live in Miami?
Yeah, I just moved here.
You just moved here? Okay, what you do? You a fitness trainer?
No, I'm a flight attendant.
Okay, that's dope. That's dope. Okay, so you get free flights and all that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Listen, I didn't want to take it too much of your time. I was just wondering if I could get your Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, cool.
Good to meet
Nice
you.
to meet you too. How you guys doing today?
Good,
Good.
how are you?
Good, good, good. How was the water?
It was good.
It was fire? Okay. Okay, that's dope. ¿Te gusta café?
No, I don't like coffee.
You don't like coffee? ¿Por qué?
I don't like the smell.
You don't like smell? You like... Excuse me, miss. I just wanted to say I think you're very beautiful.
Oh, my. Okay, so, yes, this woman is of legal age. And then the white girl, the white girl out there trying to sunbathe, she gonna turn into a lobster. All right, so what do you think about this Riz? What do you think about this Riz? Flight attendant, yes, we got the butter pecan Puerto Rican. All right, we definitely got that going on here. She definitely in shape. And I did look her up for research purposes only. Flight attendant. All right, but the white girl is down. This woman definitely looks uncomfortable, ass out and all that. She definitely gonna readjust on the conversation. There she is hiding her ass. All right, she's like, and look at her. She definitely looking suspect at this point. She doesn't look comfortable. All right, so she's like, nigga. All right, and then he asked, does she like black guys? All right, I don't know, typical cringe conversation there. I don't know why dudes always say that, but of course. All right, but just want to know confirmation if they down. And there she is right there. What do you think of this interaction? Rate the Riz, the conversation. Rate the Riz on this one. He got the Instagram. I don't know why get the Instagram. All right, but anyway, maybe he got the phone number. Other than that, why get the Instagram? All right, I don't get that. You a fan if you get the Instagram. Now the white girl is like, hey, what about me, porcelain princess over there, and she is out there baking in that sun. Her skin has she's allergic to the sun. Strawberry blonde over here, she want to be down. Strawberry blonde wants it. All right, the Puerto Rican, not so much. All right, but this woman out here gonna look like a goddamn clam or a lobster in a minute. But the white girl wanted to go. The white girl was like, take me, I'm yours. All right, and so what do you think about this, Riz? All right, what do you think about this, Riz? All right, somebody said too many compliments. A lot of this Instagram, a lot of this, do you date black men? These are all weird conversations. Apparently, though, this woman has commented about this. A lot of people have commented on this one saying it's regular shit. All right, not a big deal. But a lot of men follow guys like this guy because, these are the type of guys telling men to approach women. I mean, I think he has a channel based on that. And the whole thing is to be able to have these type of interactions, all right, where they're, men are supposed to be impressed by this type of cold approach. All right, but check this out. Apparently, this woman, where I cannot find her, somebody deleted the comment, but the woman commented on this because it was featured on World Star. All right, so there you see it. Now, the woman commented something. Now, of course, I can't find it. All right, but you see this creepy dude, for fuck's sake. All I see is it's creepy, not Riz. It's the creep. Yeah, I think this is some creepy shit to me. I don't find this to be Riz. I don't find it to be impressive either. But most young men find this to be quite impressive. All right, and dudes will brag up and down that they're doing something, and I'm like, what did you do? You got our Instagram. All right, but apparently I can't find the comment. All right, so we got people disagreeing. We got so cringe, and this guy says, I'm so glad I'm old and married. Asking the chick, social media seems informal to me. What's the point of this recording? Acknowledge the friend is key. Homie blew it with the coffee. This is how men used to approach women. He would almost always get the digits. Creepy fucking shit. As you can see, a lot of people have definitely their opinion on that one. Her followers about to go up. All right, we got somebody that says right here, I don't like it at all. Very intrusive and creepy. I don't like that he recorded her bottom before he spoke to her. This one says, this is not game. This is called having a regular conversation. A lot of you niggas be so scared to talk to females about having a regular conversation. He was a gentleman to both women. She was not interested. All right, so when you hear my conversation, when you hear my criticism about this, don't think I was the only one. The reason why I read those is because a lot of guys be like, Coach, you just hating. I'm like, I'm not, all right? It was a split audience on the interaction, and it was featured on World Star. So it was completely split down the middle. Now, here's the thing. I cannot find the comment, but apparently somebody questioned whether there was a date, all right? Because somebody wanted to know what happened afterwards, which is what I always say. Okay, what happened? Right? You got our Instagram, and what? I'm always like, it and what? What happened after that? That is the true part of the game. Approaching women, okay, that's nice, but what happened after that? What did you do? Did y'all meet? Did you go to coffee? Did you hit? Right? That's what I want to know, because I'm too grown to be just approaching women getting Instagrams. That ain't it. That ain't it for me. But, for a lot of guys, that's your starting point. I've already lived with women. Oh, here it is. I found the comment. It says right here, update. Was there a date? Uh-oh. And there's the woman right there. So you guys can go find her on Instagram. This is what she had to say. Nope. She says no. Nope. Never even knew he was recording me. He also blocked me so he can upload my video without me knowing. Oh, no. Oh, no. All right. So, again, This is my point, guys, when I talk about this particular strategy. What happens after that? I don't care about approaching women, getting phone numbers and Instagrams. What happened after that? That's where I challenge the dating coaches. Remember, I'm all about, okay, what happened next? What did you do next? Did you fold? Did you fuck? Did you approach 60 other women? Did you get the digits? Did you get a date? Is it your girlfriend? What happened next? What happened next? And that's my point. Everybody got to understand what my point is. Showing guys how to go up and have a conversation and posting it on the internet is nothing. It's nothing. Great. This is then you mislead men. Okay, somebody said he's getting paid. He's getting paid from the content. That's fine. I'm fine with that. But now you just told every guy to do this shit and nothing's happening. What did you do? Everybody's not going to get paid from the content. So when then men call other men out for telling men not to do this, then they call us lame. And I'm like, well, no, not everybody's going to make money from the content. What are we doing? What are we doing? So if this is her response, like, wait a minute. Okay, wait. When he posted it, I said, hey, don't post my shit without my consent. Then he blocked her and posted it anyway. Then WorldStar picked it up. Now, of course, you inadvertently raised her sexual marketplace value because now she gets more followers. So she's getting paid. All right. She's getting paid. So any men using this, again, you're not seeing it from my perspective. You're not going to make any money doing this. You're not going to make money, but he's going to get all these guys believing that this is going to be an accomplishment. For instance, young men, everybody thinks this is an accomplishment. The other men are going to follow this and think they're doing something. You're getting nothing from it. You're just wasting your time. You're spinning your wheels. So kudos to him. I'm not dirty macking him. Kudos to him. Let him make his money. But what they're doing is he's misleading a lot of young men as to saying that this strategy works. And it doesn't. It overwhelmingly doesn't. All right. This is not the way to do it. You're not getting anywhere with this. Great. You had a conversation. You offered a coffee. And then you ended up pissing the girl off at the end of it. And then guess what? Shaquille O'Neal is going to fuck her. All right. Because you know Shaq is going to be on it. And then Shaquille O'Neal is going to fuck. So now you just recording her for no reason, right? Just to get this on here. It's just, you know, it's one of those things where guys don't really understand this idea that I'm critical of dating coaches of putting that type of shit out there. And they never follow up. They never really show you the receipts. These are the receipts. Then everybody said, this is how you do it. But nothing came from it. Nothing came from it in the end. I'm like, what did they? And now you're out here doing this shit, and you're going to realize in real time, nothing comes out of it 98% of the time. Right? Nothing really comes out of this. End up dirty macking some other guy. I mean, it's one of those things, man. I want to show you that because I've seen a lot of questionable content come from that content creator. I'm always very critical of that guy because I've seen him dirty mack another dude because he fucked the girl that he wanted to fuck. I'm like, what is going on out here where everybody's calling this game? I've seen them go down to Colombia and run game on Colombian women talking about you don't have to pay the Colombian girls. It's like, what are we proving? I got this Colombian girl's phone number. What the fuck is going on? You're going to a known track to prove that you can get phone numbers instead of paying $40 for head. I don't get it. Why convince guys to do this? This is a hustling backwards technique to promise you very little in return. Very, very little. And we're seeing in real time, very little in return. Nothing came out of this other than him making content and fooling you young men to use this as if you're doing something. You're doing nothing. You're wasting your time. All right. Keep proving me wrong. All right, here we go right here. All right, somebody said the VP debate is about to start. Rate is Riz. All right, I thought it was going to start later on. All right, I thought it was going to start an hour later. Let me go ahead and check what's going on here. All right, it's supposed to start in a couple minutes. He said, all you got is numbers and Instagrams in your pocket. All right, anyway, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And please, guys, do not bring that young boy shit to a grown-ass man. I'm not walking up to girls on the fucking beach. All right, I'm going to tell you that. I've been there, done that. I'm a grown-ass man. Please. I'm way too grown for this shit. Do not try to convince me that this is a tactic that I can sit around and work. All right, I'm not about to do this. All right, I think somebody said 3 minutes, or is it going to start in another hour? Is it going to start in another hour? All right, anyway. Let me see if I can throw this Kamala Harris shit on here real quick. Real quick, KAMALA CGA. We'll go through it. They're going to still be setting up here. All right, we'll get to it. Diddy, KAMALA CGA. All right, KAMALA CGA. Sean Diddy Combs hit with a wave of 120 new sexual assault allegations. And they said a Texas-based attorney says he's representing more than 100 accusers in a series of new lawsuits that he'll file against Diddy. And he also said he'll file them one by one. Here's the attorney, Tony Busby. And if you don't know who Tony Busby was or is, he represented all of the victims in the Deshaun Watson case. All right, so if you guys know who Tony Busby is, he's the guy behind this Diddy, what you call these victims here. Now, we'll try to play a little bit of who these victims are because these victims range from age 9 to adults. Lots of minors. Some women went to the police prior, all right, to this particular issue. So they do have police reports. Some of them have rape kits. The majority of them are African-American women, but there are some women of other races. He does break this down. But Tony Busby is going to put a phone number out so that more people can come forward. Let's go ahead and play the video.
When I agreed to pursue this, I expected as much. This isn't my first rodeo. But victims who step forward, who have their voices heard, should not be subjected to that kind of conduct. They should not be targeted. I want to say this, and I want to be clear about it. Although we are vetting each call as stringently as we can, I always start with a mindset that I believe victims. I believe victims. Pictures, videos.
Here we go.
We have had to turn away some. For each, we ask for corroboration. For each, we ask for the identity of witnesses. We also have collected pictures, videos, texts. We check venues. We check dates. We want to corroborate that the claims being made have legitimacy and merit.
All right, let me see if I can skip forward here.
Who was 14 years old.
Oh, here we go.
To pursue these claims as plaintiffs. In this group, 62% identify as African American, 30% are white, the remainder are Hispanic or Asian. The victims are from more than 25 states. Majority are from California, New York, Georgia, and Florida. New world order.
Hey, what happened?
Victims. We talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred. It's shocking. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old.
Oh,
the humanity. Individual who was 14 years old.
14.
We have one who was 15.
Oh.
25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of.
All right, so 25 he's alleging are minors, a 9-year-old, 14, and 15. We also have males, and he'll say more here.
The time frame of the acts complained of is very wide. The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way till this year, 2024.
Oh, man.
If you wonder why there are so many alleged victims, that's your answer. We're talking about more than 25 years of this type of conduct. Now, although most of the victims who have stepped forward were victimized after 2015, this has been going on for a very long time. Now, when you think about the fact that some of this conduct occurred 25 years ago, and you wonder why would it take somebody so long to step forward, I want to remind you that many states in the United States have recognized that it's very difficult for a victim to step forward and to make these types of allegations when something very terrible has happened to them. I'll use New York, the state of New York.
All right, let me skip ahead here.
Come forward. I would respectfully suggest the only reasons will come forward. There's an old saying that says, file occurred primarily in New York, either Manhattan or the Hamptons, or occurred in California, primarily in Los Angeles, or in Florida, primarily in Miami. Most of these events and incidents occurred at parties, typically after parties, or album release parties, New Year's Eve parties, 4th of July parties, something they called a puppy party.
Puppy party?
A white party.
White party.
Although several of these events occurred at auditions.
Oh.
Many times, especially young people wanting to break into the industry, were coerced into this type of conduct in the promise of being made a star, or the promise of having Sean Combs listen to their tape or even let them read for Sean Combs.
All right, so let me stop it right there. Yeah, that's how drastic it's getting related to this issue here. I do see the debate about the start. So, yeah, we got CBS News. But you see with the Diddy situation, people are innocent until proven guilty. But again, this is the avalanche effect that I talk about so much. All right, so this is the avalanche effect. Essentially what's happening is even if he gets out of this particular Fed case and he beats the case, these people are going to sue. And also, if he does lose the Fed case, they're going to sue for the rest of his money. They're all going to get his money. So this is the avalanche effect that I talk about, where men have to pay attention. When one person comes out, you know more people are going to come out. All right. We got the debate up here. So let's see what we got here. Let's start it up.
Joining us, let's get started. Tonight, our country is facing several unfolding crises. The Middle East is on the brink of war. Americans are suffering from the catastrophic impact of Hurricane Helene. And now a labor strike as 25,000 dock workers from Maine to Texas are picketing. We're going to begin tonight with the Middle East. Margaret.
Thank you, Nora. Earlier today, Iran launched its largest attack yet on Israel, but that attack failed, thanks to joint U.S. and Israeli defensive action. President Biden has deployed more than 40,000 U.S. military personnel and assets to that region over the past year to try to prevent a regional war. Iran is weakened, but the U.S. still considers it the largest state sponsor of terrorism in the world, and it has drastically reduced the time it would take to develop a nuclear weapon. It is down now to 1 or 2 weeks' time. Governor Walz, if you were the final voice in the Situation Room, would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
Well, thank you. And thank you for those joining at home tonight. Let's keep in mind where this started. October 7th, Hamas terrorists massacred over 1,400 Israelis and took prisoners. Israel's ability to be able to defend itself is absolutely fundamental. Getting its hostages back, fundamental, and ending the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. But the expansion of Israel and its proxies is an absolute fundamental necessity for the United States to have the steady leadership there. You saw it experienced today, where along with our Israeli partners and our coalition, able to stop the incoming attack. But what's fundamental here is that steady leadership is going to matter. It's clear, and the world saw it on that debate stage a few weeks ago, a nearly 80-year-old Donald Trump talking about crowd sizes is not what we need in this moment. But it's not just that. It's those that were closest to Donald Trump that understand how dangerous he is when the world is this dangerous. His chief of staff, John Kelly, said that he was the most flawed human being he'd ever met. And both of his secretaries of defense and his national security advisors said he should be nowhere near the White House. Now, the person closest to them, Donald Trump, said he's unfit for the highest office. That was Senator Vance. What we've seen out of Vice President Harris is we've seen steady leadership. We've seen a calmness that is able to draw on the coalitions to bring them together. Understanding that our allies matter. When our allies see...
Let me stop this shit right here. Right? Let me stop this shit right here. I'm going to just tell you something here. I know you're going to call me a homer on this one. But do you guys know that Donald Trump has been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 4 times. I just want to let you guys know how crazy these people are in their lies. All right. You guys don't know this because the media doesn't cover it. But this is a fact, true, that Donald Trump has been nominated 4 times for the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay. All right. Which means when he was in office, he worked so damn hard to prevent all of these wars. Former President Donald Trump has been nominated for the Nobel fucking Peace Prize for the 4th time, a recognition prompted by his role in brokering historic Abraham Accords. People don't know this. The world doesn't know this. So these people talking about he's unhinged, he's going to do this on the brink of war, these people are absolutely insane, brother. So I just want to say that. I know you're going to call me a homer on this one, but this is propaganda. They're lying. Let's continue here.
Donald Trump turned towards Vladimir Putin, turned towards North Korea. When we start to see that type of fickleness around holding the coalitions together, we will stay committed. And as the vice president said today we will protect our forces and our allied forces, and there will be consequences.
Governor, your time is up. Senator Vance, the same question. Would you support or oppose a preemptive strike by Israel on Iran? You have 2 minutes.
So, Margaret, I want to answer the question. First of all, thanks, Governor. Thanks to CBS for hosting the debate. And thanks, most importantly, to the American people who are watching this evening and caring enough about this country to pay attention to this vice presidential debate. I want to answer the question, but I want to actually give an introduction to myself a little bit because I recognize a lot of Americans don't know who either one of us are. I was raised in a working class family. My mother required food assistance for periods of her life. My grandmother required Social Security help to raise me. And she raised me in part because my own mother struggled with addiction for a big chunk of my early life. I went to college on the GI Bill after I enlisted in the Marine Corps and served in Iraq. And so I stand here asking to be your vice president with extraordinary gratitude for this country, for the American dream that made it possible for me to live my dreams. And most importantly, I know that a lot of you are worried about the chaos in the world and the feeling that the American dream is unattainable. I want to try to convince you tonight over the next 90 minutes that if we get better leadership in the White House, if we get Donald Trump back in the White House, the American dream is going to be attainable once again. Now, to answer this particular question, we have to remember that as much as Governor Walz just accused Donald Trump of being an agent of chaos, Donald Trump actually delivered stability in the world, and he did it by establishing effective deterrence.
Facts.
People were afraid of stepping out of line. Iran, which launched this attack, has received over $100 billion in unfrozen assets thanks to the Kamala Harris administration. What do they use that money for? They use it to buy weapons that they're now launching against our allies, and God forbid, potentially launching against the United States as well. Donald Trump recognized that for people to fear the United States, you needed peace through strength. They needed to recognize that if they got out of line, the United States global leadership would put stability and peace back in the world. Now, you asked about a preemptive strike, Margaret, and I want to answer the question. Look, it is up to Israel what they think they need to do to keep their country safe, and we should support our allies wherever they are when they're fighting the bad guys. I think that's the right approach to take with the Israel question.
Okay, interesting comment.
Thank you, Senator. Governor Walz, do you care to respond to any of the allegations?
Well, look, Donald Trump was in office. We'll sometimes hear a revisionist history, but when Donald Trump was in office, it was Donald Trump who we had a coalition of nations that had boxed Iran's nuclear program in, the inability to advance it. Donald Trump pulled that program and put nothing else in its place. So Iran is closer to a nuclear weapon than they were before because of Donald Trump's fickle leadership. And when Iran shot down an American aircraft in international airspace, Donald Trump tweeted, because that's the standard diplomacy of Donald Trump. And when Iranian missiles did fall near U.S. troops and they received traumatic brain injuries, Donald Trump wrote it off as headaches. Look, our allies understand that Donald Trump is fickle. He will go to whoever has the most flattery or where it makes sense to him. Steady leadership like you witnessed today, like you witnessed in April. Both Iranian attacks were repelled. Our coalition is strong, and we need the steady leadership that Kamala Harris is providing.
Senator Vance, the U.S. did have a diplomatic deal with Iran to temporarily pause parts of its nuclear program, and President Trump did exit that deal. He recently said, just 5 days ago, the U.S. must now make a diplomatic deal with Iran because the consequences are impossible. Did he make a mistake? You have 1 minute.
Well, first of all, Margaret, diplomacy is not a dirty word, but I think that's something that Governor Walz just said is quite extraordinary. You yourself just said Iran is as close to a nuclear weapon today as they have ever been. And Governor Walz, you blame Donald Trump, who has been the vice president for the last 3.5 years. And the answer is your running mate, not mine. Donald Trump consistently made the world more secure. Now, we talk about what the sequence of events that led us to where we are right now, and you can't ignore October the 7th, which I appreciate Governor Walz bringing up. But when did Iran and Hamas and their proxies attack Israel? It was during the administration of Kamala Harris. So Governor Walz can criticize Donald Trump's tweets.
By the way, Tim Walz opened them up to Kamala Harris because she said Kamala Harris did X, Y, and Z during this administration. So he did open himself up to that. Let's continue.
But effective, smart diplomacy and peace through strength is how you bring stability back to a very broken world. Donald Trump has already done it once before. Ask yourself at home, when was the last time, I'm 40 years old, when was the last time that an American president didn't have a major conflict break out? The only answer is during the 4 years that Donald Trump was president.
Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to. Nora?
Margaret, thank you. Let's turn now to Hurricane Helene. The storm could become one of the deadliest on record. More than 160 people are dead and hundreds more are missing. Scientists say climate change makes these hurricanes larger, stronger, and more deadly because of the historic rainfall. Senator Vance, according to CBS News polling, 7 in 10 Americans and more than 60% of Republicans under the age of 45 favor the U.S. taking steps to try and reduce climate change. Senator, what responsibility would the...
By the way, I'm not big on climate change at all. All right. Somebody might have to sit down and educate me on climate change, but I think it's very political and it not much science behind it, but I might be wrong on it.
Actually, a photograph of 2 grandparents on a roof with a 6-year-old child, and it was the last photograph ever taken of them because the roof collapsed and those innocent people lost their lives. And I'm sure Governor Walz joins me in saying our hearts go out to those innocent people, our prayers go out to them, and we want as robust and aggressive as a federal response as we can get to save as many lives as possible, and then, of course, afterwards, to help the people in those communities rebuild. I mean, these are communities that I love. Some of them I know very personally in Appalachia, all across the Southeast. They need their government to do their job, and I commit that when Donald Trump is president again, the government will put the citizens of this country first when they suffer from a disaster. Now, Nora, you asked about climate change. I think this is a very important issue. Look, a lot of people are justifiably worried about all these crazy weather patterns. I think it's important for us, first of all, to say Donald Trump and I support clean air, clean water. We want the environment to be cleaner and safer. But one of the things that I've noticed some of our Democratic friends talking a lot about is a concern about carbon emissions, this idea that carbon emissions drives all of the climate change. Well, let's just say that's true, just for the sake of argument, so we're not arguing about weird science. Let's just say that's true.
I don't think it's true.
Well, if you believe that, what would you want to do? The answer is that you'd want to reshore as much American manufacturing as possible, and you'd want to produce as much energy as possible in the United States of America because we're the cleanest economy in the entire world. What have Kamala Harris's policies actually led to? More energy production in China, more manufacturing overseas, more doing business in some of the dirtiest parts of the entire world.
Do you guys believe that carbon emissions are creating massive hurricanes and tornadoes? Let me put a poll up to see how you guys feel on climate change.
Thing to do is to double down and invest in American workers and the American people. And unfortunately, Kamala Harris has done exactly the opposite.
Governor Walz, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Well, we got close to an agreement because all those things are happening. Look, first of all, it is a horrific tragedy with this hurricane. And my heart goes out to the folks that are down there in contact with the governors. I serve as co-chair of the Council of Governors as we work together on these emergency managements. Governors know no partisanship. They work together to all of the governors and the emergency responders are on the ground. Those happen on the front end. The federal government comes in, makes sure they're there to that we recover. But we're still in that phase where we need to make sure that they're staying there, staying focused. Now, look, coming back to the climate change issue, there's no doubt this thing roared onto the scene faster and stronger than anything we've seen. Senator Vance has said that there's a climate problem in the past. Donald Trump called it a hoax and then joked that these things would make more beachfront property to be able to invest in. What we've seen out of the Harris administration now, the Biden-Harris administration, is we've seen this investment. We've seen massive investments, the biggest in global history that we've seen in the Inflation Reduction Act, has created jobs all across the country. 2,000 in Jeffersonville, Ohio, taking the EV technology that we invented and making it here. 200,000 jobs across the country. The largest solar manufacturing plant in North America sits in Minnesota. But my farmers know climate change is real. They've seen 500-year droughts, 500-year floods back to back. But what they're doing is adapting, and this has allowed them to tell me, look, I harvest corn, I harvest soybean, and I harvest wind. We are producing more natural gas and more oil at any time than we ever have. We're also producing more clean energy. So the solution for us is to continue to move forward, that climate change is real. Reducing our impact is absolutely critical, but this is not a false choice. You can do that at the same time.
My question about this, and Maury just brought it up, I was thinking about it, is if carbon emissions are an issue, are China and India going through the same thing? Or do they not have the climate to have droughts, hurricanes, tornadoes? I know they're talking about something I don't really care about. It's not going to swing my vote. But if that's true, the biggest carbon emitters are China and India. I mean, they're violators, and Russia got to be up there too. Are we seeing historic, massive hurricanes, tornadoes, droughts, floods? Are we seeing that there? Or is it just in the United States? That's my question about the carbon emission issue, because they obviously have no restrictions over there. So are the restrictions just in America? Is it just a Western Hemisphere issue? What is the issue? I don't understand how India over there is doing it, and there's none of that going on. I don't understand why nobody's trying to prevent China to cap theirs. Are they experiencing the same crazy weather patterns? Are they no, not air quality. We're talking about weather, right? Not air quality. They're blaming the weather. All right, the carbon emissions are causing the hurricanes, the floods, the droughts. Is their weather being impacted? Is their weather being impacted? Are they got hurricanes? Do they have floods? Do they have droughts? I'm pretty sure they have droughts. All right, we're not talking about air quality. Air quality is fucked up around the board. Is that air quality causing hurricanes? That's my question. That's my only question on it. Let's continue here. Here we go.
It's called climate change a hoax.
They get tsunamis.
Do you agree?
Okay.
Well, look, what the president has said is that if the Democrats, in particular Kamala Harris and her leadership, if they really believe that climate change is serious, what they would be doing is more manufacturing and more energy production in the United States of America, and that's not what they're doing. So clearly, Kamala Harris herself doesn't believe her own rhetoric on this. If she did, she would actually agree with Donald Trump's energy policies. Now, something Governor Walz said I think is important to touch upon, because when we talk about clean energy, I think that's a slogan that often the Democrats will use.
All right. Somebody said there got earthquakes, and guys, it doesn't matter. Earthquakes are earthquakes, bro. That doesn't have anything to do. Hold up. Earthquakes, though, do earthquakes have an issue with carbon emissions? Dude, earthquakes are plate tectonics. That has nothing to do with no goddamn gas cloud. All right. Come on, guys. Stop. Earthquakes are under the ground. Plate tectonics. The earth crust shifting. Ninja, they've been having earthquakes for 50 million years. All right, that creates all the mountains and the Grand Canyons. Earthquake, Ninja, what the fuck is going on? What's wrong with people? Earthquakes? Typhoons? What? All right, come on, man. Something ain't adding up. Let's continue, bro. We always had earthquakes and floods and tornadoes. That's always been here, bro. Like, what are we doing, bro? All right, come on, man. Let me continue. Earthquakes.
If you're spending hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars of American taxpayer money on solar panels that are made in China, number one, you're going to make the economy dirtier. We should be making more of those solar panels here in the United States of America. Some of them are, Tim, but a lot of them are being made overseas in China, especially the components that go into those solar panels. So if you really want to make the environment cleaner, you've got to invest in more energy production. We haven't built a nuclear facility, I think, one in the past 40 years. Natural gas, we got to invest more in it. Kamala Harris has done the opposite. That's raised energy prices and also meant
they already cutting off J.D. Vance. Notice that.
Would you like to respond?
Well, look, we're producing more natural gas than we ever have. There's no moratorium on that. We're producing more oil. But the folks know, and like I said, again, these are not liberal folks. These are not folks that are Green New Deal folks. These are farmers that have been drought one year, massive flooding the next year. They understand that it makes sense. Look, our number one export cannot be topsoil from erosion from these massive storms. We saw it in Minnesota this summer. And thinking about how do we respond to that, we're thinking ahead on this. And what Kamala Harris has been able to do in Minnesota, we're starting to weatherproof some of these things. The infrastructure law that was passed allows us to think about mitigation in the future. How do we make sure that we're protecting by burying our power lines? How do we make sure that we're protecting lakefronts and things that we're seeing more and more of? But to call it a hoax and to take the oil company executives to Mar-a-Lago, say, give me money for my campaign, and I'll let you do whatever you want. We can be smarter about that, and an all-above energy policy is exactly what she's doing, creating those jobs right here.
Governor, your time is up. The overwhelming consensus among scientists is that the Earth's climate is warming at an unprecedented rate. Margaret?
Thank you, Nora. We're going to turn now to immigration.
Was that a fact check? That was a fact check in support of climate change. Now, let me say this, bro. I mean, I don't listen again. This is not my wheelhouse. I'll give you that. But guys, if you look up the hottest day on record, all right, because you guys are saying there's record temperatures, record high temperatures. Guys, the hottest day on record in Las Vegas was today. You know when the previous record was? 1940. All right, so was it an issue back then? What are we doing here, man? There's been, dude, you can go back to there was always a hottest record day in the past. Now, you weren't there, but you're experiencing the heat now. You're like, this is the hottest it's ever been, and it hasn't been. I'm just letting you know, something's up with it, and it seems to be financial, and it seems to be related to oil and some other shit going on. They're trying to push electric vehicles and to me, it's more about that than anything else. And no, I'm not dying. I'm going to die on this hill. It's a little bit too much. It's a little foggy revisionist history. That's all I'm saying. It's basic revisionist history. There have been floods and droughts for years. Millions of people have died on droughts alone for fucking 400 and 500 years. Please, revisionist history at best. Let's continue. Here we go.
American voters. Senator Vance, your campaign is pledging to carry out the largest mass deportation plan in American history and to use the U.S. military to do so. Could you be more specific about exactly how this will work? For example, would you deport parents who have entered the U.S. illegally and separate them from any of their children who were born on U.S. soil? You have 2 minutes.
So first of all, Margaret, before we talk about deportations, we have to stop the bleeding. We have a historic immigration crisis because Kamala Harris started and said that she wanted to undo all of Donald Trump's border policies. 94 executive orders suspending deportations, decriminalizing illegal aliens, massively increasing the asylum fraud that exists in our system. That has opened the floodgates. And what it's meant is that a lot of fentanyl is coming into our country. I had a mother who struggled with opioid addiction and has gotten clean. I don't want people who are struggling with addiction to be deprived of their second chance because Kamala Harris let in fentanyl into our communities at record levels. So you've got to stop the bleeding. You've got to re-implement Donald Trump's border policies, build the wall, re-implement deportations. And that gets me to your point, Margaret, about what do we actually do? So we've got 25 million illegal aliens who are here in the country. What do we do with them? I think the first thing that we do is we start with the criminal migrants. About 1 million of those people have committed some form of crime in addition to crossing the border illegally. I think you start with deportations on those folks. And then I think you make it harder for illegal aliens to undercut the wages of American workers. A lot of people will go home if they can't work for less than minimum wage in our own country. And by the way, that'll be really good for our workers who just want to earn a fair wage for doing a good day's work. And the final point, Margaret, is you ask about family separation. Right now in this country, Margaret, we have 320,000 children that the Department of Homeland Security has effectively lost. Some of them have been sex trafficked. Some of them hopefully are at homes with their families. Some of them have been used as drug trafficking mules. The real family separation policy in this country is unfortunately Kamala Harris's wide open southern border. And I'd ask my fellow Americans to remember when she came into office, she said she was going to do this. Real leadership would be saying, you know what, I screwed up. We're going to go back to Donald Trump's border policies. I wish that she would do that. It would be good for all of us.
Governor, do you care to respond to any of those specific allegations, including that the vice president is, quote, letting in fentanyl and using kids as drug mules, among other things regarding children?
Dude, this is another 3 against 1. Obviously, all right, obviously. You see how she framed that question.
The drug mule is not true, but I will say about this, about the fentanyl, because this is a crisis of this, the opioid crisis. And the good news on this is the last 12 months saw the largest decrease in opioid deaths in our nation's history, 30% decrease in Ohio. But there's still more work to do. But let's go back to this on immigration. Kamala Harris was the Attorney General of the largest state and a border state in California. She's the only person in this race who prosecuted transnational gangs for human trafficking and drug interventions. But look, we all want to solve this. Most of us want to solve this, and that is the United States Congress. That's the Border Patrol agents. That's the Chamber of Commerce. That's most Americans out here. That's why we had the fairest and the toughest bill on immigration that this nation's seen. It was crafted by a conservative senator from Oklahoma, James Lankford. I know him. He's super conservative, but he's a man of principle, wants to get it done. Democrats and Republicans worked on this piece of legislation. The Border Patrol said, this is what we need in here. These are the experts. And the Chamber of Commerce and the Wall Street Journal said, pass this thing. Kamala Harris helped get there. 1,500 new border agents, detection for drugs, DOJ money to speed up these the adjudications on this, just what America wants. But as soon as I was getting ready to pass and actually tackle this, Donald Trump said no, told them to vote against it because it gives him a campaign issue. It gives him what would Donald Trump talk about if we actually did some of these things?
Hold up. Sorry. He said Donald Trump told them to vote against it. He was not even the president when this bill happened. In fact, Kamala Harris was a part of the tie-breaking voter in the Senate, in the House of Representatives. He wasn't even the president. So you're saying Donald Trump told everybody else to vote against it. That's what you're saying. All right. Yeah.
And it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault.
Come on, bro. Oh, they was going to shut down the border, but the vice president and your president was trumped by Trump, who was not the president at the time. That's what he's saying. He's saying Kamala was the vice president. She was a tie-breaking vote in the Senate. Joe Biden was the president. They had a bill, but Donald Trump, who was not a senator, not a vice presidential candidate, not the president, he told them to veto the bill. What? Man, please fact check this shit. This is terrible. All right, come on.
And they need to be done by the legislature. You can't just do this through the executive branch. So look, we have the options to do this. Donald Trump had 4 years. He had 4 years to do this. And he promised you, America, how easy it would be. I'll build you a big, beautiful wall, and Mexico will pay for it.
Okay.
Less than 2% of that wall got built, and Mexico didn't pay a dime. But here we are again, 9 years after he came down that escalator, dehumanizing people and telling him what he was going to do. As far as the deportation plan, at one point, Senator Vance said it was so unworkable to be laughable. So that's where we're at.
Vance can't believe this shit. He can't even believe this guy.
The bill, she'll sign it.
Look at Vance. It's like serious ninja. This is wild, bro.
Your time is up. Senator, the question was, will you separate parents from their children, even if their kids are U.S. citizens? You have 1 minute.
Margaret, my point is that we already have massive child separations thanks to Kamala Harris's open border. I didn't accuse Kamala Harris of inviting drug mules. I said that she enabled the Mexican drug cartels to operate freely in this country, and we know that they use children as drug mules, and it is a disgrace, and it has to stop. Look, I think what Tim said just doesn't pass the smell test. For 3 years, Kamala Harris went out bragging that she was going to undo Donald Trump's border policy. She did exactly that. We had a record number of illegal crossings. We had a record number of fentanyl coming into our country, and now that she's running for president, or a few months before, she says that somehow she got religion and cared a lot about a piece of legislation. The only thing that she did when she became the vice president, when she became the appointed border czar, was to undo 94 Donald Trump executive actions that opened the border. This problem is leading to massive problems in the United States of America. Parents who can't afford health care, schools that are overwhelmed. It's got to stop, and it will when Donald Trump is president again.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, what about our CBS News polling, which does show that a majority of Americans, more than 50%, support mass deportations?
Look, we fix this issue with a bill that is necessary, but the issue on this is what happens when you don't want to solve it. You demonize it. And we saw this. And Senator Vance, and it surprises me on this, talking about and saying, I will create stories to bring attention to this. That vilified a large number of people who were here legally in the community of Springfield. The Republican governor said, it's not true. Don't do it. There's consequences for this. There's consequences. We could come together. Senator Langford did it. We could come together and solve this if we didn't let Donald Trump continue to make it an issue. And the consequences in Springfield were the governor had to send state law enforcement to escort kindergartners to school. I believe Senator Vance wants to solve this, but by standing with Donald Trump and not working together to find a solution, it becomes a talking point. And when it becomes a talking point like this, we dehumanize and villainize other human beings.
Tim,
Governor, your time is up. Senator, I'll give you 1 minute, but let me just ask you the question first. The governor has made the point, and I think as a sitting lawmaker, you know that Congress controls the purse strings and any funding. So you have said repeatedly that Donald Trump would, through executive action, solve this. Do you disagree that Congress controls the purse strings and would need to support many of the changes that you would actually want to implement? You have 1 minute.
Look, Margaret, first of all, the gross majority of what we need to do at the southern border is just empowering law enforcement to do their job. I've been to the southern border more than our borders are. Kamala Harris has been. And it's actually heartbreaking because the Border Patrol agents, they just want to be empowered to do their job. Of course, additional resources would help. But most of this is about the president and the vice president empowering our law enforcement to say, if you try to come across the border illegally, you've got to stay in Mexico. You've got to go back through proper channels. Now, Governor Walz brought up the community of Springfield, and he's very worried about the things that I've said in Springfield. Look, in Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country, you've got schools that are overwhelmed. You've got hospitals that are overwhelmed. You have got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes. The people that I'm most worried about in Springfield, Ohio, are the American citizens who have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's open border. It is a disgrace, Tim. And I actually think, I agree with you. I think you want to solve this problem, but I don't think that Kamala Harris does.
Senator, your time is up. Governor, you have 1 minute to respond.
Yeah, well, it is law enforcement that asked for the bill. They helped craft it. They're the ones that supported it. That's because they know we need to do this. Look, this issue of continuing to bring this up, of not dealing with it, of blaming migrants for everything. On housing, we could talk a little bit about Wall Street speculators buying up housing and making them less affordable, but it becomes a blame. Look, this bill also gives the money necessary to adjudicate. I agree. It should not take 7 years for an asylum claim to be done. This bill gets it done in 90 days. Then you start to make a difference in this, and you start to adhere to what we know, American principles. I don't talk about my faith a lot, but Matthew 25:40 talks about, to the least amongst us you do unto me. I think that's true of most Americans. They simply want order to it. This bill does it. It's funded. It's supported by the people who do it, and it lets us keep our dignity about how we treat other people.
Thank you, Governor. And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think
oh, my God. You see this? You see this? Look, hey, man, the fix is in. And why is it always a woman? Look at the fix. So when they fact check with some shit that didn't even mean anything to the point. We're not talking about Springfield. By the way, J.D. Vance, you fell for the okie doke. You shouldn't have brought up Springfield. The rest of the country is being highly impacted by my immigrants. All right, so you shouldn't have been on Reedspin. So they then cut his ass smooth off in the middle of his point to not clarify, and they put out something that really, I mean, the fact check, we would have to fact check the fact checker on that one. Are the Haitian immigrants legalized citizens? I would probably say no. All right. But that's what she's saying. Cut his ass smooth off. Let's continue. Oh, my.
It's important
we're
because
going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
The rules were that
The
you guys were
economy,
going to fact check. And since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by
Thank
our
you,
own
Senator, for
leaders.
describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws.
Let's see if they cut him off.
So
been
much
on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
we
CBP
want to have
One app has not been on the books since 1990.
Damn, they done cut off the
gentlemen,
mics.
The audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process. Nora.
Thank you, Margaret.
Terrible. Terrible. Terrible, man.
The economy is a top concern for voters. Each of your campaigns has released an economic plan, so let's talk about the specifics. Governor Walz, Vice President Harris unveiled a plan that includes billions in tax credits for manufacturing, housing, and a renewed child tax credit. The Wharton School says your proposals will increase the nation's deficit by $1.2 trillion. How would you pay for that without ballooning the deficit? Governor, I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. And Kamala Harris and I do believe in the middle class because that's where we come from. We both grew up in that. We understand. So those of you out there listening tonight, you're hearing a lot of stuff back and forth, and it's good. It's healthy. That's what this is supposed to happen. You should be listening. How's this going to impact me? The bold forward plan that Kamala Harris put out there is talking about this housing issue. The one thing is there's 3 million new houses proposed under this plan with down fairness in that. Look, the $35 insulin is a good thing, but it costs $5 to make insulin. They were charging $800 before this law went into effect. As far as the housing goes, I've seen it in Minnesota, 12% more houses in Minneapolis. Prices went down on rent 4%. It's working. And then making sure tax cuts go to the middle class. $6,000 child tax credit, we have one in Minnesota, reduces childhood poverty by 1/3. We say,
guys, this is more socialism. We don't need socialism. Print more money, create more inflation. Guys, all you're going to do is knock up the housing prices to $25,000. This is not the solution. Let's continue. Oh my God. Free money, free money.
Money in the long run, and we do the right thing for families, and then getting businesses off the ground. The law as it stands right now is $5,000 tax credit for small business, increasing that to $50,000. Now, this is a philosophical difference between us. Donald Trump made a promise, and I'll give you this. He kept it. He took folks from Mar-a-Lago, said, you're rich as hell, I'm going to give you a tax cut. He gave the tax cuts that predominantly went to the top class. What happened there was an $8 trillion increase in the national debt, the largest ever. Now he's proposing a 20% consumption or sales tax on everything we bring in. Everyone agrees, including businesses, it would be destabilizing it, it would increase inflation and potentially lead to a recession. Look, this is simple for you. Where are we going? Kamala Harris has said to do the things she wants to do, we'll just ask the wealthiest to pay their fair share. When you do that, our system works best, more people are participating in it, and folks have the things that they need.
Guys, this is the dumbest shit you'll ever hear. Trust me, I'm not an economist. This will never work. Make the wealthy pay more tax. So the wealthy are going to pay it. This is going to always, guys, communists and socialists have tried this over and over again. It has failed every single time. Look and go see Venezuela. Look and see Cuba. Look and see the Soviet Union. Look and see Mao. All right. All of these revolutions that had the lowest people on the rung attack the highest people on the rung has almost overwhelmingly failed. And it leads to years and years of famine and destruction. And all it does is attempt to penalize the people at the top, which they're too smart to get penalized. And then essentially it penalizes the middle class and rewards the poverty class. This is so damn obvious. But most of you communists and you socialists don't see it. You just want to attack the people that are successful, and they're too smart for you. They're going to outsmart you every time. This does not work. It's going to create more inflation. It's going to create a tax base where the middle class has to be the taxpayer, and then they get penalized, and then they're going to be in a situation where, well, why should I work if these people in poverty are making just as much as me not working? This is super dumb. I mean, I know if you're poor, you're all for this, but it's super dumb. It doesn't never work. It doesn't ever work. I said it. It doesn't work. All right. If you believe this is going to work, you're a moron. All right. But let's continue.
Senator, I want to give you a moment to respond on that. But similarly, the Wharton School has done an analysis of the Trump plan and says it would increase the nation's deficit by $5.8 trillion. My question is the same for you. How do you pay for all that without ballooning the deficit? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, you're going to hear a lot from Tim Walz this evening, and you just heard it in the answer, a lot of what Kamala Harris proposes to do. And some of it, I'll be honest with you, it even sounds pretty good. Here's what you won't hear, is that Kamala Harris has already done it. Yep. Because she's been the vice president for 3.5 years. Exactly. She had the opportunity to enact all of these great policies, and what she's actually done instead is drive the cost of food higher by 25%, drive the cost of housing higher by about 60%, open the American southern border, and make middle-class life unaffordable for a large number of Americans. If Kamala Harris has such great plans for how to address middle-class problems, then she ought to do them now. Not when asking for promotion, but in the job the American people gave her 3.5 years ago. And the fact that she isn't tells you a lot about how much you can trust her actual plans. Now, Donald Trump's economic plan is not just a plan, but it's also a record. A lot of those same economists attack Donald Trump's plans, and they have PhDs, but they don't have common sense, and they don't have wisdom. Because Donald Trump's economic policies delivered the highest take-home pay in a generation in this country, 1.5% inflation, and to boot, peace and security all over the world. world. So when people say that Donald Trump's economic plan doesn't make sense, I say look at the record. He delivered rising take-home pay for American workers. Now, Tim admirably admits that they want to undo the Trump tax cuts. But if you look at what was so different about Donald Trump's tax cuts, even from previous Republican tax cut plans, is that a lot of those resources went to giving more take-home pay to middle-class and working-class Americans. It was passed in 2017, and you saw an American economic boom unlike we've seen in a generation in this country. That is a record that I'm proud to run on, and we're going to get back to that common sense wisdom so that you can afford to live the American dream again. I know a lot of you are struggling. I know a lot of you are worried about paying the bills. It's going to stop when Donald Trump brings back common sense to this country.
Governor, do you want to respond to that? What has Kamala Harris done for the middle class?
Yeah, well, Kamala Harris's day one was Donald Trump's failure on COVID that led to the collapse of our economy. We were already before COVID in a manufacturing recession, but 10 million people out of work, largest percentage since the Great Depression. 9 million jobs closed on that. That was day one, whether it was the Infrastructure Act or other things we moved. Now, you made a question about experts, said this. I've made a note of this. Economists can't be trusted. Science can't be trusted. National security folks can't be trusted. Look, if you're going to be president, you don't have all the answers. Donald Trump believes he does. My pro tip of the day is this. If you need heart surgery, listen to the people at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, not Donald Trump. And the same thing goes with this. And I ask you out there, teachers, nurses, truck drivers, whatever, how is it fair that you're paying your taxes every year and Donald Trump hasn't paid any federal tax in the last 15 years, the last year as president? That's what's wrong with the system. There's a way around it, and he's bragged about that. We're just asking for fairness in it, and that's all you want.
You have a minute.
These communists, man, I tell you, man, they are interesting, aren't they? And he's a known communist. By the way, if you guys don't know, he was a teacher in China for what, 20 years? You're talking about a known Marxist communist. All right. And by the way, Kamala Harris is the most socialist senator when she was a senator. She was the most Marxist, socialist, far left senator in the entire senator group. So you're talking about two known communists. All right. So everything they're speaking is communism. By the way, research communism. It doesn't work. It's always failed. All right. And all of their policies are communistic. All right. Just so you guys know, let's see if he guys gets it here.
Governor, you say trust the experts, but those same experts for 40 years said that if we shipped our manufacturing base off to China, we'd get cheaper goods. They lied about that. They said if we shipped our industrial base off to other countries, to Mexico and elsewhere, it would make the middle class stronger. They were wrong about that. They were wrong about the idea that if we made America less self-reliant, less productive in our own nation, that it would somehow make us better off, and they were wrong about it. And for the first time in a generation, Donald Trump had the wisdom and the courage to say to that bipartisan consensus, we're not doing it anymore. We're bringing American manufacturing back. We're unleashing American energy. We're going to make more of our own stuff. And this isn't just an economic issue. I mean, I've got 3 beautiful little kids at home, 7, 4, and 2, and I love them very much, and I hope they're in bed right now. But look, so many of the drugs, the pharmaceuticals that we put in the bodies of our children.
For people that didn't know, yes, he lived in China right here during the Tiananmen Square incident. He taught English and U.S. studies to 300 students in China. Right there, just so you guys know, he lived in China, all right, during the 80s and 90s and so forth and so on. Just so you guys know, all right, this is a known communist. Let's continue.
Children are manufactured by nations that hate us. This has to stop, and we're not going to stop it by listening to experts. We're going to stop it by listening to common sense wisdom, which is what Donald Trump governed on.
Senator, your time is up. Governor Walz, can you address that? I mean, voters say they trust Donald Trump on the economy more. Why?
Well, if you're listening tonight and you want billionaires to get tax cuts, you heard what the numbers were. Look, I'm a union guy on this. I'm not a guy who wanted to ship things overseas, but I understand that, look, we produce soybeans and corn. We need to have fair trading partners. That's something that we believe in. I think the thing that most concerns me on this is Donald Trump was the guy who created the largest trade deficit in American history with China. So the rhetoric is good. Much of what the senator said right there, I'm in agreement with him on this. I watched it happen too. I watched it to my communities, and we talked about that. But we had people undercutting the right to collectively bargain. We had right to work states made it more difficult. We had companies that were willing to ship it over, and we saw people profit. Folks that are venture capital in some cases, putting money into companies that were overseas. We're in agreement that we bring those home. The issue is Donald Trump is talking about it. Kamala Harris has a record, 250,000 more manufacturing jobs just out of the IRA.
May I respond to that?
Yes.
So appreciate that. So if you notice, what Governor Walz just did is he said, first of all, Donald Trump has to listen to the experts. And then when he acknowledged that the experts screwed up, he said, well, Donald Trump didn't do nearly as good of a job as the statistics show that he did. So what Tim Walz is doing, and I honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here, because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better. To all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles.
I hope we have a conversation on healthcare then.
Senator, Governor,
please.
Thank you. Margaret?
We have a lot to get to ahead, gentlemen, on many topics. But right now, I want to talk about personal qualifications. The vice president is often the last voice the president hears before making consequential decisions. We want to ask you about your leadership qualities. Governor Walz, you said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400. You rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service. I joined the National Guard at 17, worked on family farms, and then I used the GI Bill to become a teacher, passionate about it, a young teacher. My first year out, I got the opportunity in the summer of '89 to travel to China. 35 years ago, be able to do that. I came back home and then started a program to take young people there. We would take basketball teams, we would take baseball teams, we would take dancers, and we would go back and forth to China. The issue for that was to try and learn. Now, look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. Look, I will be the first to tell you, I have poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that. Those same people elected me to Congress for 12 years. And in Congress, I was one of the most bipartisan people, working on things like farm bills that we got done, working on veterans benefits. And then the people of Minnesota were able to elect me to governor twice. So look, my commitment has been from the beginning to make sure that I'm there for the people, to make sure that I get this right. I will say more than anything, many times I will talk a lot. I will get caught up in the rhetoric. But being there, the impact it made, the difference it made in my life, I learned a lot about China. I hear the critiques of this. I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. I guarantee you he wouldn't be praising Xi Jinping about COVID. And I guarantee you he wouldn't start a trade war that he ends up losing. So this is about trying to understand the world. It's about trying to do the best you can for your community. And then it's putting yourself out there and letting your folks understand what it is. My commitment, whether it be through teaching, which I was good at, or whether it was being a good soldier or was being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
I can do some shuffling too. Look out, man, what you gonna do? Coming through. Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
He tap danced the hell around that question, sir. We got your record right here, sir. We got it. You are a communist China sympathizer. That's for sure. All right, you can blame Donald Trump for being a sympathizer, but it's you that is the simp, sir. You are right here. Okay, right there. Based on Walsh's record on China, based on the accounts people are interacting with them right there, it's hard to put him in that box. Oh, no, he was there, sir. He was there. He didn't answer the question, just so you guys know. He failed to answer the question. All right, let's continue.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So
shuffling.
Was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protest went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Caught. Gotcha, bitch. Hey, let's hear it again, y'all. Just so you can hear it. He got caught. He did not explain the discrepancy, and the woman did follow up, so I will give her that. She did follow up.
Soldier, or as being a good member of Congress, those are the things that I think are the values that people care about.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this, so I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protest went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Shuffling.
Thank you, Governor. Senator Vance,
don't let him off the hook.
In 2016, you called your running mate Donald Trump unfit for the nation's highest office, and you said he could be America's Hitler. I know you've been asked many times, and you've said you regret those comments and explained you then voted for Donald Trump in 2020. But the Washington Post reported new messages last week in which you also disparaged Trump's economic record while he was president, writing to someone in 2020, quote, Trump thoroughly failed to deliver his economic populism. You're now his running mate, and you've shifted many of your policy stances to align with his. If you become vice president, why should Americans trust that you will give Donald Trump the advice he needs to hear and not just the advice he wants to hear? You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, Margaret, because I've always been open. And sometimes, of course, I've disagreed with the president, but I've also been extremely open about the fact that I was wrong about Donald Trump. I was wrong, first of all, because I believed some of the media stories that turned out to be dishonest fabrications of his record. But most importantly, Donald Trump delivered for the American people. Rising wages, rising take-home pay, an economy that worked for normal Americans, a secure southern border, a lot of things, frankly, that I didn't think he'd be able to deliver on. And yeah, when you screw up, when you misspeak, when you get something wrong and you change your mind, you ought to be honest with the American people about it. It's one of the reasons, Margaret, why I've done so many interviews is because I think it's important to actually explain to the American people where I come down on the issues and what changed. Now, you pointed out the messages from 2020. Margaret, I've been extremely consistent.
Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is bad for J.D. Vance and Trump. So he was a never Trumper. Just so you guys know, He came out and said he was a never Trumper. He was not a Trump supporter. He was not MAGA. He was vocal about this during Trump presidency, I believe, and after Trump was not elected the second time. So this does not work well for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. He was a never Trumper. So they did call him out on that. Let's see how he shuffles out of that.
If Congress was doing its job. I strongly believe, and I've been a United States Senator, that Congress is not just a high-class debating society. It's not just a forum for senators and congressmen to whine about problems. It's a forum to govern. So there were a lot of things on the border, on tariffs, for example, where I think that we could have done so much more if the Republican Congress and the Democrats in Congress had been a little bit better about how they govern the country. They were so obsessed with impeaching Donald Trump, they couldn't actually govern. And I want to talk about this tariff issue in particular, Margaret, because you just accuse this of being a...
All right, deflect by J.D. Vance. We got to call him out. J.D. Vance, sir. Deflect and redirect.
I can do some shuffling too. Look out, man, what you going to do? Look out, boys, it's coming through. Yeah, man.
All right. J.D. Vance scrambling and scraping. All right, yeah, you got caught too. We got to play the gotcha bitch on that.
Gotcha, bitch.
All right, got you too, Ninja. Boy, these women got these ninjas scrambling, shuffling and scraping, scrambling and scraping. Oh, my. Deflect, redirect. By J.D. Vance.
National sales tax. Look, the one thing, and you're probably surprised to hear me praising Joe Biden, but the one thing that Joe Biden did is he continued some of the Trump tariffs that protected American manufacturing jobs. And it's the one issue, the most pro-worker part of the Biden administration, it's the one issue where Kamala Harris has run away from Joe Biden's record. Think about this. If you're trying to employ slave laborers in China at $3 a day, you're going to do that and undercut the wages of American workers unless our country stands up for itself and says, you're not accessing our markets unless you're paying middle-class Americans a fair wage.
Senator, your time is up.
You got caught.
Thank you. Now to the issue of reproductive rights. Governor Walz, after Roe versus Wade was overturned, you signed a bill into law that made Minnesota one of the least restrictive states in the nation when it comes to abortion. Former President Trump said in the last debate that you believe abortion, quote, in the 9th month is absolutely fine. Yes or no? Is that what you support? I'll give you 2 minutes.
That's not what the bill says. But look, this issue is what's on everyone's mind. Donald Trump put this all into motion. He brags about how great it was that he put the judges in and overturned Roe versus Wade, 52 years of personal autonomy. And then he tells us, oh, we send it to the states. It's a beautiful thing. Amanda Zaworski would disagree with you on it's a beautiful thing. A young bride in Texas waiting for their child at 18 weeks. She has a complication, a tear in the membrane. She needs to go in. The medical care at that point needs to be decided by the doctor. And that would have been an abortion. But in Texas, that would have put them in legal jeopardy. She went home, got sepsis, nearly dies, and now she may have difficulty having children. Or in Kentucky, Hadley Duvall, a 12-year-old child, raped and impregnated by her stepfather.
Oh,
Those are horrific. Now, when God asked about that, Senator Vance said 2 wrongs don't make a right. There is no right in this. So in Minnesota, what we did was restore Roe versus Wade. We made sure that we put women in charge of their health care. But look, this is not where, if you don't know Amanda or a Hadley, you soon will. Their Project 2025 is going to have a registry of pregnancies. It's going to make it more difficult, if not impossible, to get contraception and limit access, if not eliminate access to infertility treatments. For so many of you out there listening, me included, infertility treatments are why I have a child. That's nobody else's business, but those things are being proposed. And the catch-all on this is, well, the states will decide what's right for Texas might not be right for Washington. That's not how this works. This is basic human right. We have seen maternal mortality skyrocket in Texas, outpacing many other countries in the world. This is about health care. In Minnesota, we are ranked first in health care for a reason. We trust women. We trust doctors.
Senator, do you want to respond to the governor's claim? Will you create a federal pregnancy monitoring agency?
No, certainly we won't. And I want to talk about this issue because I know a lot of Americans care about it, and I know a lot of Americans don't agree with everything that I've ever said on this topic. And, I grew up in a working class family in a neighborhood where I knew a lot of young women who had unplanned pregnancies and decided to terminate those pregnancies because they feel like they didn't have any other options. And, one of them is actually very dear to me. And I know she's watching tonight, and I love you. And she told me something a couple years ago that she felt like if she hadn't had that abortion, that it would have destroyed her life because she was in an abusive relationship. And I think that what I take from that as a Republican who proudly wants to protect innocent life in this country, who proudly wants to protect the vulnerable, is that my party, we've got to do so much better of a job at earning the American people's trust back on this issue where they frankly just don't trust us. And I think that's one of the things that Donald Trump and I are endeavoring to do. I want us as a Republican Party to be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word. I want us to support fertility treatments. I want us to make it easier for moms to afford to have babies. I want it to make it easier for young families to afford a home so they can afford a place to raise that family. And I think there's so much that we can do on the public policy front just to give women more options. Now, of course, Donald Trump has been very clear that on the abortion policy specifically, that we have a big country and it's diverse. And California has a different viewpoint on this than Georgia. Georgia has a different viewpoint from Arizona. And the proper way to handle this, as messy as democracy sometimes is to let voters make these decisions, let the individual states make their abortion policy. And I think that's what makes the most sense in a very big, a very diverse, and let's be honest, sometimes a very, very messy and divided country.
Governor, would you like to respond and also answer the question about restrictions?
Yeah, well, the question got asked and Donald Trump made the accusation that wasn't true about Minnesota. Well, let me tell you, about this idea that there's diverse states. There's a young woman named Amber Thurman. She happened to be in Georgia, a restrictive state. Because of that, she had to travel a long distance to North Carolina to try and get her care. Amber Thurman died in that journey back and forth. The fact of the matter is, how can we as a nation say that your life and your rights, as basic as the right to control your own body, is determined on geography? There's a very real chance, had Amber Thurman lived in Minnesota, she would be alive today. That's why the restoration of Roe versus Wade. When you listen to Vice President Harris talk about this subject and you hear me talk about it, you hear us talking exactly the same. Donald Trump is trying to figure out how to get the political right of this. I agree with a lot of what Senator Vance said about what's happening. His running mate, though, does not, and that's the problem.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, let me ask you about that. He mentioned, I think, referring to a national ban. In the past, you have supported a federal ban on abortion after 15 weeks. In fact, you said if someone can't support legislation like that, quote, you are making the United States the most barbaric pro-abortion regime anywhere in the entire world. My question is, why have you changed your position?
Well, Nora, first of all, I never supported a national ban. I did, when I was running for Senate in 2022, talk about setting some minimum national standard. For example, we have a partial birth abortion ban in place in this country at the federal level. I don't think anybody's trying to get rid of that, or at least I hope not, though I know that Democrats have taken a very radical pro-abortion stance. But Nora, one of the things that changed is in the state of Ohio, we had a referendum in 2023, and the people of Ohio voted overwhelmingly, by the way, against my position. And I think that what I learned from that, Nora, is that we've got to do a better job at winning back people's trust. So many young women would love to have families. So many young women also see an unplanned pregnancy as something that's going to destroy their livelihood, destroy their education, destroy their relationships, and we have got to earn people's trust back. And that's why Donald Trump and I are committed to pursuing pro-family policies, making childcare more accessible, making fertility treatments more accessible, because we've got to do a better job at that, and that's what real leadership is.
Governor, your response.
I'm going to respond on the pro-abortion piece of that. No, we're not. We're pro-women. We're pro-freedom to make your own choice. We know what the implications are to not be that. Women having miscarriages, women not getting the care, physicians feeling like they may be prosecuted for providing that.
My question is, why do they keep saying women need to make a choice when the male's choice stops at sex and the woman's choice stops at the death of the child? Why don't both genders' decision and choice stop at sex? Once the sex is had, it becomes everybody, the communities. All right, these socialists always talk about community. Pregnancy is not just about the woman, it is about the community at large. So yes, it is not just her issue at that point. If it was, she could fucking take a car to Minnesota at that point. All right, but just so you guys know, this idea that some woman drove and she waited 9 months to have a baby because she was raped or incest is a misnomer. Only 1% of women obtained an abortion because of that through rape, less than 0.5% because of incest. These are very, very small cases. 89 to 90% of them are just because the woman chose to, with a majority of women going there multiple times. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Not just once. They're going and using it as birth control, many times paid for by the taxpayer. New world. All right, that's the reality of it, but let these ninjas continue.
That care. And as far as making sure that we're educating our children and giving them options, Minnesota's a state with one of the lowest teen pregnancy rates. We understand that too. We know that the options need to be available, and we make that true. We also make it, we're a top 3 state for the best place to raise children. But these two things to try and say that we're pro-children, but we don't like this, or you guys are pro-abortion, that's not the case at all.
By the way, Kamala Harris can do nothing about this issue on the federal level. Zero. She doesn't have the Supreme Court. She doesn't have the House or the Senate at the same time. It's a It doesn't mean nothing. She cannot run on this issue and win. I mean, she can run on it and win, but she's going to have to disappoint a lot of people. She's running on a false premise. She's running on a false premise. There's nothing she can do. There's nothing she can do. The Supreme Court is going to be the Supreme Court the way it is, 6-3, until somebody retires or dies. All right. And at best, it'll be 5-4. All right. So it's always going to have a conservative lean against it, meaning that they're going to always get outvoted on this until the liberals have a advantage in the Supreme Court. It's a done deal for the next 40 years. So Kamala Harris can do nothing about it. That's the bottom line. Let's continue.
We're pro-freedoms for women to make their choices, and we're going, and Kamala Harris is making the case, to make options for children more affordable, a $6,000 child tax credit, but we're not going to base that on the backs of making someone like Amber Thurman drive 600 miles to try and get health care.
Senator?
May I respond to that? First of all, Governor, I agree with you. Amber Thurman should still be alive, and there are a lot of people who should still be alive, and I certainly wish that she was. And maybe you're free to disagree with me on this and explain this to me, but as I read the Minnesota law that you signed into law, the statute that you signed into law, it says that a doctor who presides over an abortion where the baby survives, the doctor is under no obligation to provide life-saving care to a baby who survives a botched late-term abortion. abortion. That is, I think,
That's
whether
not
you're
true.
pro-choice or
That's not
pro-abortion,
otherwise.
that is fundamentally barbaric. And that's why I use that word, Nora, is because some of what we've seen, do you want to force Catholic hospitals to perform abortions against their will? Because Kamala Harris has supported suing Catholic nuns to violate their freedom of conscience. We can be a big and diverse country where we respect people's freedom of conscience and make the country more pro-baby and pro-family. But please.
Yes, Governor, please respond.
Look, this is one where there's always something there. This is a very simple proposition. These are women's decisions to make about their healthcare decisions.
So what?
And physicians who know best when they need to do this. Trying to distort the way a law is written to try and make a point, that's not it at all.
What was I wrong about, Governor? Please tell me, what was I wrong
That is
about?
not the way the law is written. Look, I've given
But how?
I've given this advice on a lot of things, that getting involved, getting engaged, that's been misread, and it was fact-checked at the last debate. But the point of this is there's a continuation of these guys to try and tell women or to get involved.
No.
I use this line on this, just mind your own business on this. Things
They're
worked
lying.
best when Roe versus Wade was in.
Just mind your own business. Okay, say that to the men that get women pregnant. Just mind your own business. This is a misnomer. Men can make laws related to women. To say men can't, or legislators cannot make laws against a woman because she's a woman, is ridiculous. All right, I don't know why people even keep saying let women do what they want to do. It's none of their business. It is our business. How do women just get a pass? How do they believe women just get a pass to do whatever they want? That's bullshit. I will never vote for that. I will never vote for that. That's ridiculous. Oh, well, they're not a woman, so they don't get to decide. Bullshit. All right, I call bullshit. Is that what we're going to do against education, jobs, when it's time to get them jobs? Oh, that's your problem. No. This is absolutely ridiculous mindset that these liberals keep pushing on, that it's none of our business. It is our business. It's ridiculous. Why do people get away with saying stupid shit like that? I will never agree to that, by the way. And not only that, guys, all they did was made the states choose. Move to another state if you want to have an abortion. I don't care about that. Let's continue.
In place. When we do a restoration of Roe, that works best. That doesn't preclude us from increasing funding for children. It doesn't increase us from making sure that once that child's born, like in Minnesota, they get meals, they get early childhood education, they get health care. So the hiding behind we're going to do all these other things when you're not proposing them in your budget. Kamala Harris is proposing them. She's proposing all those things to make life easier for families.
I asked a specific question, Governor. You gave me a slogan as a response.
It's not the case. It's not true. That's not what the law says. They fact-checked it with President Trump.
Gentlemen, there's a lot to discuss. We have to move on, and we're going to be right back with much more of the CBS News vice presidential debate in just a moment.
All right. Yeah, who do you think's winning so far? Right now, we got 91% thinking that Vance is winning right now. Let's go ahead and take this down. Yeah, this is all just welfare. See, again, a lot of you guys really got to study socialism and communism and the ideas that they're trying to press forward. And by the way, if you think I'm stretching this on the communist issue, they confronted Waltz on his communist connections right here on this stream, which means to say why he believes what he believes. He might be, people are saying he's a spy, he's an agent, he has communist ideas. And a lot of people do think communism can work. I'm actually flabbergasted that people defend it. There's no evidence that it's ever worked, but there are people that saying it can work if we do this, we can work if we do that. But all of his ideas are based on communism, related to women's rights, related to handouts, related to issues related to education. Everything he says is communist oriented. I mean, 100%. And the fact that he was a teacher for how many years and dodged the question about his participation and his location during the Tiananmen Square Democrat revolt over there against communism, he literally ducked and dodged the question. All right, 100%, he did it. So I'm just saying a lot of what they're saying seems to sound nice on paper, but you don't know the repercussions of these things, meaning that you're going to go into more poverty. You're not going to be able to ascend higher to any class system because you're going to get stuck trying to help the people that are at the lowest. Those people are going to be empowered, and many times, if they don't die through feast or famine, they will die out here revolting against the people who have. All right, and so if you look at communist history, what they're doing is attacking the successful people, but in communist China under Mao, that's what happened. A lot of people died in famine because the government and the state took control of the resources related to food, farming, and agriculture and so forth. And what happened is the elite people became the target. Just like we're doing here in America, the elite people become the target. So men like myself, men that are pro-capitalist and free market, we become the target of the impoverished people because they become frustrated. They are hungry. And then they say, hey, they're the evil people. They don't pay their fair share in taxes. They found a way around the system. So in essence, they're trying to create that scenario here, that exact same scenario where the impoverished people are empowered. They're given handouts, but then when they're given handouts, they blame the lack of handouts on the wealthy people because the wealthy people dodge the system, and then the other people attack the wealthy people and the people who, the educated. All right, these are all set up for communist systems. I mean, it is sad that people can't see it. But of course, when people don't know history, they're doomed to repeat it. Anybody want to debate me on that? Let me know. But any pro-communist out here, you guys are crazy. I will never go for it. I will never go for it. All right, at all. All right. And by the way, Kamala Harris is a known Marxist. All her philosophy, she hasn't even ducked away from Marxism. She's accepted that she's a Marxist. All right, but let's continue here.
The parents of a school shooter were convicted of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Do you think holding parents responsible could curb mass shootings? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, Nora, on that particular case, I don't know the full details, but I certainly trust local law enforcement and local authorities to make those decisions. I think in some cases the answer is going to be yes, and in some cases the answer is going to be no. And the details really matter here, of course. For example, if a kid steals a gun, that's going to be different than if a parent hands over a gun knowing that their kid is potentially dangerous. But look, I want to just sort of speak as a father of 3 beautiful little kids, and our oldest is now in 2nd grade. And like a lot of parents, we send our kids to school with such hope and such joy and such pride at their little faces on the first day of school. And we know, unfortunately, that a lot of kids are going to experience this terrible epidemic of gun violence. And of course, our hearts go out to the families that are affected by this terrible stuff. And we do have to do better. And I think that Governor Walz and I actually probably agree that we need to do better on this. The question is just how do we actually do it? Now, here's something that really bothers me and worries me about this epidemic of violence. The gross majority, close to 90% in some of the statistics I've seen, of the gun violence in this country is committed with illegally obtained firearms. And while we're on that topic, we know that thanks to Kamala Harris's open border, we've seen a massive influx in the number of illegal guns run by the Mexican drug cartel. So that number, the amount of illegal guns in our country is higher today than it was 3.5 years ago. But what do we do about the schools? What do we do to protect our kids? And I think the answer is, and I say this not loving the answer, because I don't want my kids to go to school in a school that feels unsafe or where there are visible signs of security. But I unfortunately think that we have to increase security in our schools. We have to make the doors lock better. We have to make the doors stronger. We've got to make the windows stronger. And of course, we've got to increase school resource officers, because the idea that we can magically wave a wand and take guns out of the hands of bad guys, it just doesn't fit with recent experience. So we've got to make our schools safer. And I think we've got to have some common sense bipartisan solutions for how to do that.
Governor, you have 2 minutes.
Well, I think all the parents watching tonight, this is your biggest nightmare. Look, I got a 17-year-old and he witnessed a shooting at a community center playing volleyball. Those things don't leave you. As a member of Congress, I sat in my office surrounded by dozens of the San Diego parents, and they were looking at my 7-year-old picture on the wall. Their 7-year-old were dead, and they were asking us to do something. And look, I'm a hunter. I own firearms. The vice president is. We understand that the Second Amendment is there, but our first responsibility is to our kids to figure this out. In Minnesota, we've enacted enhanced red flag laws, enhanced background checks, and we can start to get data. But here's the problem. If we really want to solve this, we've got folks that won't allow research to be even done on gun violence. And this idea that we should just live with it, here's what I do think, that this is a good start to the conversation. I 100% believe that Senator Vance hates it when these kids, it's abhorrent and it breaks your heart. I agree with that. But that's not far enough when we know there are things that work. I've spent time in Finland and seen some Finnish schools. They don't have this happen, even though they have a high gun ownership rate in the country. There are reasonable things that we can do to make a difference. It's not infringing on your Second Amendment. And the idea to have some of these weapons out there, it just doesn't make any sense. Kamala Harris, as an attorney general, worked on this issue. She knows that it's there. No one's trying to scaremonger and say we're taking your guns, but I ask all of you out there, do you want your schools hardened to look like a fort? Is that what we have to go? When we know there's countries around the world that their children aren't practicing these types of drills. They're being kids. We owe it to them to get a fix. These are things that shouldn't be that difficult. You can still keep your firearms, and we can make a difference. We have to. If you're listening tonight, this breaks your heart.
Senator.
Tim, first of all, I didn't know that your 17-year-old witnessed a shooting. I'm sorry about that, and I hope you're doing okay. Christ have mercy. It is awful. And I appreciate what Tim said actually about Finland, because I do think it illustrates some of the frankly weird differences between our own country's gun violence problem and Finland. Is okay. First of all, we have way higher rates of mental health abuse or mental health substance abuse. We have way higher rates of depression, way higher rates of anxiety. We unfortunately have a mental health crisis in this country that I really do think that we need to get to the root causes of, because I don't think it's the whole reason why we have such a bad gun violence problem, but I do think it's a big piece of it. Another driver of the gun violence epidemic, especially that affecting our kids, it doesn't earn as many headlines, but is the terrible gun violence problem in a lot of our big cities. And this is why we have to empower law enforcement to arrest the bad guys, put them away, and take gun offenders off the streets. I think there's a whole host of things that we can do here, but I do think at our schools we've got to talk about more security.
Senator, thank you. Governor, you previously opposed an assault weapons ban, but only later in your political career did you change your position. Why?
Yeah, I sat in that office with those San Diego parents. I've become friends with school shooters. I've seen it. Look, the NRA, I was an NRA guy for a long time. They used to teach gun safety. I'm of an age where my shotgun was in my car so I could pheasant hunt after football practice. That's not where we live today. And several things I want to mention on this is, talking about cities and where it's at, the number one where the most firearm deaths happen in Minnesota are rural suicides. And we have an epidemic of children getting guns and shooting themselves. And so we have, and we should look at all of the issues. making sure folks have health care and all that, but I want to be very careful. This idea of stigmatizing mental health, just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean you're violent. And I think what we end up doing is we start looking for a scapegoat. Sometimes it just is the guns. It's just the guns. And there are things that you can do about it. But I do think that this is one, and I think it's a healthy conversation. I think there's a capacity to find solutions on this that work, protect Second Amendment, protect our children. That's our priority.
Gentlemen, thank you. Margaret.
Thank you, Nora. Let's turn now to the top
I don't agree with, yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Contributor to inflation, the high cost of housing and rent. There's a shortage of more than 4 million homes in the United States, and that contributes to the high housing prices. Governor Walz, the Harris campaign promises a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and a $10,000 tax credit. They also promise to build 3 million new homes. Where are you building these homes, and won't handing out that kind of money just drive up prices higher?
No, it's not handing out. We have, first, let me say this. This
Obviously.
issue of housing, and I think those of you listening on this, the problem we've had is that we've got a lot of folks that see housing as another commodity. It can be bought up, it can be shifted, it can be moved around. Those are not folks living in those houses. Those of you listening tonight, that house is a big deal. I bought and owned one house in my life. My mom still lives in the house where I was. And when I think of a house, I'm thinking of Christmas services after midnight mass where you go with your family. We need to make it more affordable. And one of the things, as I said, this program that the Vice President is pushing forward and bringing a new way of approaching this is something we're doing in Minnesota from that lead. We in the state invested in making sure our housing was the biggest investment that we'd ever made in housing. It starts to make it easier. We cut some of the red tape. Local folks, look, we can't do it at the federal level, but local folks make it easier to build those homes. And then that down payment assistance. I can tell all of you out there, one of the, certainly for me, using the GI Bill was one thing, but a veteran's home loan, the big thing about a veteran's home loan is you don't have to pay the down payment. Those are things that make it there. Now, look, you're going to pay it back, and you're going to pay your mortgage. Those are things that we know in the long run, the appreciated value, the generational wealth that's created from it. And I will give Minneapolis an example. Minneapolis is the one city where we've seen the lowest inflation rates. We've seen a 12% increase in stock because we've put some of these things in, and we're implementing a state program to make sure we give some of that down payment assistance. We get it back from people because here's what we know. People with stable housing end up with stable jobs. People with stable housing have their kids able to get to school. All of those things in the long run end up saving our money. And that's the thing that I think we should be able to find some common ground in, but we can't blame immigrants for the only reason. That's not the case that's happening in many cities. The fact of the matter is that we don't have enough naturally affordable housing, but we can make sure that the government's there to help kickstart it, create that base.
Man, this is terrible, man. Anybody voting for this shit, you guys are crazy. All right, first of all, giving people a $25,000 cut is gonna raise the price. Everybody knows that. Even the moderator that's on your side knows that. That's too obvious. Number two, housing isn't a right. All right, it's something you work for. Not everybody is going to, not everybody deserves to be able to own a home. It is what it is. Rent, motherfucker. All right. It is what it is until you're able to work to the point where you can own it. Yeah. I mean, I think the housing situation is really messed up, but you're talking about building homes on whose price? Where are you going to build them? All right. And who are you going to put in these houses? There's reasons why people can't afford houses because they don't deserve a house. It is what it is. All right, bad credit, bad decisions and shit like this. But giving people $25,000 to buy a house on an FHA government-backed loan is going to backfire. Again, more socialism. Socialism always backfire, bruh. Especially when you're trying to make America a free market system, a socialist system. This is not going to work. These people are going to lose these houses 9 times out of 10, especially if they're putting down very little down payment. They're not going to be able to afford to live in a house, so they're going to lose the house. It's going to go right back to the bank, and we're now back in 2008. Come on, guys. This is not that big of a issue here. Let's continue, brothers.
Governor, your time is up. Senator Vance, as far as your campaign's position, the promise is to seize federal lands to build homes, remove regulation, provide tax breaks, and cut back on immigration, which you say pushes up prices. Where are you going to build all the new homes you're promising? And what part of any of this plan will provide immediate relief? You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, Tim just said something that I agree with. We don't want to blame immigrants for higher housing prices, but we do want to blame Kamala Harris for letting in millions of illegal aliens into this country, which does drive up costs, Tim. 25 million illegal aliens competing with Americans for scarce homes is one of the most significant drivers of home prices in the country. It's why we have massive increases in home prices that have happened right alongside massive increases in illegal alien populations under Kamala Harris's leadership. Now, Tim just mentioned a bunch of ideas.
I don't agree with that.
Some of those ideas I actually think are halfway decent, and some of them I disagree with. But the most important thing here is Kamala Harris is not running as a newcomer to politics. She is the sitting vice president. If she wants to enact all of these policies to make housing more affordable, I invite her to use the office that the American people already gave her, not sit around and campaign and do nothing while Americans find the American dream of homeownership completely unaffordable. Now, you asked, Margaret, what would immediately change the equation for American citizens if you lower energy prices? As Donald Trump says, drill, baby, drill. One of the biggest drivers of housing costs aside from illegal immigration is, think about it, if a truck driver's paying 40% more for diesel, then the lumber he's delivering to the job site to build the house is also going to become a lot more expensive. If we open up American energy, you will get immediate pricing relief for American citizens, not, by the way, just in housing, but in a whole host of other economic goods, too.
Senator Vance, you still have 23 seconds there. Do you want to answer
Can I have it?
where? Yeah. Governor, we will get to you in a moment. But Senator, where are you going to seize the federal lands? Can you clarify?
Well, what Donald Trump has said is we have a lot of federal lands that aren't being used for anything. They're not being used for national parks. They're not being used, and they could be places where we build a lot of housing. And I do think that we should be opening up building in this country. We have a lot of land that could be used. We have a lot of Americans that need homes. We should be kicking out illegal immigrants who are competing for those homes, and we should be building more homes for the American citizens who deserve to be here.
Man, bruh. Okay, so they're just going to go up in national parks and forests and build houses? So where the ninjas gonna go? They're gonna leave the city? You're gonna move all these ninjas out in the middle of the woods in the desert? I don't think so. What are we doing, man? I mean, come on, bruh. All right, we got a lot of national forests and parks and reserves. Where are you gonna build it at? In the middle of the goddamn desert? There's no sewage or no plumbing out there. No electricity, no nothing. I know ninjas ain't moving out to the middle of the woods. We'd already know that. All right, come on, bro. All right, let's continue.
Your time is up. Governor, I do want to let you respond to the allegation that the vice president is letting in
Of course, that's not true. And again, you have the facts.
Somebody said,
not to fact check.
somebody said reservations. For real, they moving them on reservations. Oh, my Lord.
Look, crossings are down compared to when Donald Trump left office. But it's, again, blaming and not trying to find a solution. I was going to ask on this question, are we going to drill and build houses in the same federal land? And I think when people hear federal lands, these are really important pieces of land. Now, Minnesota doesn't have a lot of federal lands. I know in the western part of the countries we do. There's not a lot of federal lands in and around Minneapolis, for example. So the issue is I don't understand the federal lands issue unless we see this, and I worry about this as someone who cares deeply about our national parks and our federal lands. Look, Minnesota, we protect these things. We've got about 20% of the world's fresh water. These lands protect. They're there for a reason. They belong to all of us. But again, this is when you view housing and you view these things as commodities. Like, there's a chance to make money here. Let's take this federal land and let's sell it to people for that. I think there's better ways to do this. We've seen it in Minnesota. We're able to refurbish some of these houses. We're able to make some investments. That gets people in. And I'm still on the fact on this. Economists. Senator Vance, you said you don't like the economists. Which economists are saying that it is immigrants that's adding to the cost?
Governor, your time is up. But Senator, on that point, I'd like for you to clarify. There are many contributing factors to high housing costs. What evidence do you have that migrants are part of this problem?
Well, there's a Federal Reserve study that we're happy to share after the debate. We'll put it up on social media, actually, that really drills down on the connection between increased levels of migration, especially illegal immigration, and higher housing prices. Now, of course, Margaret, that's not the entire driver of higher housing prices. It's also the regulatory regime of Kamala Harris. Look, we are a country of builders. We're a country of doers. We're a country of explorers. But we increasingly have a federal administration that makes it harder to develop our resources, makes it harder to build things, and wants to throw people in jail for not doing everything exactly as Kamala Harris says they have to do. And what that means is that you have a lot of people who would love to build homes who aren't able to build homes. I actually agree with Tim Walz. We should get out of this idea of housing as a commodity. But the thing that has most turned housing into a commodity is giving it away to millions upon millions of people who have no legal right to be here.
What are the federal regulations? I deal with this as a governor.
You can very quickly reply.
I'm sorry. I get this as a governor, and I don't necessarily disagree with that in some cases, many of those are local, many of them are state. I don't know which ones are federal, but I think whenever we talk regulations, people think they can get rid of them. I think you want to be able to get out of your house in a fire. I think you want to make sure that it's fireproof and those types of things. So which are the regulations? Because the vice president's not responsible for those. Congress writes those.
Governor, thank you. Gentlemen, we have a lot to get to. You're passionate about the housing crisis, I can tell. But Nora?
Thank you. One of the top problems facing Americans is the high cost of health care. Senator Vance, at the last presidential debate, former President Trump was asked about replacing the Affordable Care Act. In response, he said, I have concepts of a plan. Since then, Senator, you've talked about changing how chronically ill Americans get health insurance. Can you explain how that would work? And can you guarantee that Americans with pre-existing conditions won't pay more? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, of course, we're going to cover Americans with pre-existing conditions. In fact, a lot of my family members have gotten health care. I believe, members of my family actually got private health insurance, at least for the first time, switched off of Medicaid onto private insurance for the first time under Donald Trump's leadership. And I think that, a lot of people have criticized this concepts of a plan remark. It's very simple common sense. I think as Tim Walz knows from 12 years in Congress, you're not going to propose a 900-page bill standing on a debate stage. It would bore everybody to tears, and it wouldn't actually mean anything because part of this is the give and take of bipartisan negotiation. Now, when Donald Trump was actually president, and again, he has a record to be proud of, prescription drugs fell in 2018 for the first time in a very long time. Under Kamala Harris's leadership, prescription drugs are up about 7%. Under Donald Trump's entire 4 years, they were up about 1.5%. He introduced pricing transparency. You think about healthcare, you go into a hospital, you try to buy something, and nobody knows what it actually costs. That price transparency will actually give American consumers a little bit more choice and will also drive down costs. And we talked about, the reinsurance regulations is what I was talking about. Look, Donald Trump has said that if we allow states to experiment a little bit on how to cover both the chronically ill but the non-chronically ill, it's not just a plan. He actually implemented some of these regulations when he was president of the United States. And I think you can make a really good argument that it salvaged Obamacare, which was doing disastrously until Donald Trump came along. And I think it's an important point about President Trump. Of course, you don't have to agree with everything that President Trump has ever said or ever done. But when Obamacare was crushing under the weight of its own regulatory burden and healthcare costs, Donald Trump could have destroyed the program. Instead, he worked in a bipartisan way to ensure that Americans had access to affordable care. It's not perfect, of course, and there's so much more that we can do. But I think that Donald Trump has earned the right to put in place some better healthcare policies. He's earned it because he did it successfully the first time.
Governor?
All right, here's where being an old guy gives you some history. I was there at the creation of the ACA. And the reason it was so important is I come from a major healthcare state, home of the Mayo Clinic, home to Medical Alley, 3M, Medtronic, all of those. We understand healthcare. It's why we're ranked first on affordability and accessibility and quality of healthcare. And so what I know is under Kamala Harris, more people are covered than they have before. And those of you listening, this is critical to you. Now, Donald Trump all of a sudden wants to go back and remember this. He ran on the first thing he was going to do on day one was to repeal Obamacare. On day one, he tried to sign an executive order to repeal the ACA. He signed on to a lawsuit to repeal the ACA, but lost at the Supreme Court. And he would have repealed the ACA had it not been for the courage of John McCain to save that bill. Now, fast forward, what that means to you is you lose your pre-existing conditions. If you're sitting at home and you got asthma, too bad. If you're a woman, probably not. Broke your foot during football, might kick you out. Your kids get kicked out when they're 26. Kamala Harris negotiated drug prices for the first time with Medicare. We have 10 drugs that will come online, the most common ones that'll be there. But look, this issue, and when Donald Trump said, I got a concept of a plan, it cracked me up as a fourth grade teacher because my kids would have never given me that. But what Senator Vance just explained might be worse than a concept because what he explained is pre-Obamacare. And I'll make this as simple as possible because I have done this for a long time. What they're saying is, if you're healthy, why should you be paying more? So what they're going to do is let insurance companies pick who they insure because guess what happens? You pay your premium, it's not much. They're figuring they're not going to have to pay out to you. But those of you a little older, gray, got cancer, you're going to get kicked out of it. That's why the system didn't work. Kamala Harris will protect and enhance the ACA.
Governor, thank you. Senator, you have not yet explained how you would protect people with pre-existing conditions or laid out that plan.
Well, look, we currently have laws and regulations in place right now that protect people with pre-existing conditions. We want to keep those regulations in place, but we also want to make the health insurance marketplace function a little bit better. Now, what Governor Walz just said is actually not true. A lot of what happened and the reason that Obamacare was crushing under its own weight is that a lot of young and healthy people were leaving the exchanges. Donald Trump actually helped address that problem, and he did so in a way that preserved people's access to coverage who had pre-existing conditions. But again, something that these guys do is they make a lot of claims about if Donald Trump becomes president, all of these terrible consequences are going to ensue. But in reality, Donald Trump was president. Inflation was low. Take-home pay was higher. And he saved the very program from a Democratic administration that was collapsing and would have collapsed absent his leadership. He did his job, which is govern in a bipartisan way and get results, not just complain about problems, but actually solve them.
Governor, did enrollment under the Affordable Care Act go up under the Trump administration?
It's higher now that we've seen it go up. Look, people are using it. The system works. And the question about this of young people, whatever, that's the individual mandate piece of this. And Republicans fought tooth and nail saying, well, Americans should be free to do this. Well, then
so
what
you
happens
think the individual mandate's a good idea?
I think the idea of making sure the risk pool is broad enough to cover everyone, that's the only way insurance works. When it doesn't, it collapses. You are asking pre-ACA where we get people out. Look.
All right, so Tim Walsh got cooked right there by the moderator. You got to say it's not a 3-against-1 the entire time. Tim Walsh got cooked.
Gotcha, bitch.
Enrollment went up under Trump. And there goes Tim scrambling and scraping. All right, here we go.
People know that they need to be on health care. People expect it to be there. And when we are able to make it, and we are making it this way, when we incentivize people to be in the market, when we help people who might not be able to afford it get there, and we make sure then when you get sick and old, it's there for you. Because I heard people say, well, I don't want to buy into Medicare or whatever. Good luck buying health care once you get past 70. So look, the ACA works. We can continue to do better. Kamala Harris did that. The way she made everything better was negotiating those 10 drugs on Medicare for the first time in American history.
Thank you. Margaret,
can I address that?
I apologize. We're out of time. We have a number of subjects to discuss. Margaret,
Let's talk about families in America.
Okay.
There is a child care crisis in this country, and the United States is one of the very few developed countries in the world without a national paid leave program for new parents. Governor Walz, you said that if Democrats win both the White House and Congress, this is a day one priority for you. How long should employers be required to pay workers while they are home taking care of their newborns? You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's negotiable, and that's what Congress works. But here's what the deal is. Americans sitting out there right now, you may work for a big company. Look, we're home in Minnesota to some of the largest Fortune 500 companies. Kamala Harris knows that in California. Those companies provide paid family medical leave. One is, I think they're moral and they think it's a good thing, but it also keeps their employees healthy. We in Minnesota passed a paid family medical leave. You have a child, and I had to go back to work 5 days after my kids were born. This allows you to stay home a certain amount of time. What we know is that gets the child off to a better start. The family works better. We stay in their employers. We get more consistency in that. So Kamala Harris has made it a priority. We implemented it in Minnesota, and we see growth. That's how you become a pro-business state. But the negotiations on it, and here's the issue. Those big companies are able to offer it. Those of you out there who don't have it, just imagine what happens if you get cancer or your child gets sick. We know what happens. You end up staying home. In some places, that means no paycheck because you've got no protection on that. This is the case of an economy that Donald Trump has set for the wealthiest amongst us. He's willing to give those tax breaks to the wealthiest. He's willing to say, bust those unions up, do whatever. What we're saying is the economy works best when it works for all of us. And so a paid family medical leave program, and I will tell you, go to the families or go to the businesses and ask them. As far as childcare on this, you have to take it at both the supply and the demand side. You can't expect the most important people in our lives to take care of our children or our parents to get paid the least amount of money. And we have to make it easier for folks to be able to get into that business and then to make sure that folks are able to pay for that. We were able to do it in Minnesota, and I'm still telling you this. We were listed as the best state. We're still in crisis on this. A federal program of paid family medical leave and help with this will enhance our workforce, enhance our families, and make it easier to have the children that you want.
Governor, your time is up. Senator, do you support a national paid leave program? And if so, for how long should employers be mandated to pay their employees while they are home taking care of their newborn. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, first of all, Margaret, a number of my Republican colleagues and some Democrats, too, have worked on this issue. And I think there is a bipartisan solution here because a lot of us care about this issue. I mean, look, I speak from this very personally because I'm married to a beautiful woman who's an incredible mother to our 3 beautiful kids, but is also a very, very brilliant corporate litigator. And I'm so proud of her. But being a working mom, even for somebody with all of the advantages of my wife, is extraordinarily difficult. And it's not just difficult from a policy perspective. She actually had access to paid family leave because she worked for a bigger company. But the cultural pressure on young families and especially young women, I think makes it really hard for people to choose the family model they want. A lot of young women would like to go back to work immediately. Some would like to spend a little time home with the kids. Some would like to spend longer at home with the kids. We should have a family care model that makes choice possible. And I think this.
I thought when women get pregnant, it was none of our business. I thought when women get pregnant, it was none of our business. I thought when women get pregnant, it was none of our business. Now it seems like it's our business. Now we got to solve all of everybody's issue for having babies that they decided to have. Now all of a sudden they decided they don't want to have it, they can kill it. Now that they have it, we got to figure it out. All right, we got to figure out how to get her to work and get the kids and who going to take care. I thought it was none of our business. Now it's our business now. See, I told you it was our business either way. So to say that a woman doesn't have, can make the choices, then we need to stay out of it, it's false. Because once the baby arrives, now it's our business again. Now we got to figure out how to get her ass to work, how to employ more people and get them paid. I thought it was none of our business. I thought it was her body, her choice. Why we letting people have 2, 3, 4, and 5 kids? And now we got to solve the problem around childcare about the woman or the man staying at home. What the hell? All right. Now it's our business again. I told you, women's pregnancy is our business, whether they want to keep the baby or kill the baby. It's our business no matter what, because it affects the community. It affects everybody. It affects society. Whether she gets knocked up, whether she keeps it or kills it, it affects everybody. And this is a prime example. Let's continue with this goofy bullshit. Here we go.
This is a very.
Why don't we put some standards in our society as opposed to letting people do what the fuck they want, and then we got to solve the problem? I'll do whatever I want to do, but now the problem, everybody else got to solve it. But now we need people to have better health care and better child care. Okay, don't let me get all communist on you here.
Important substantive difference between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris's approach. I mean, look, if you look at the federal programs that we have that support paid family leave right now, the Community Development Block Grant, and there's another block grant program that spends a lot of money from the federal government. These programs only go to one kind of child care model. Let's say you'd like your church, maybe you live in a rural area or an urban area, and you'd like to get together with families in your neighborhood to provide child care in the way that makes the most sense. You don't.
Yep, everybody start fucking. Now I got to pay. All right. Even when I don't fuck and produce a baby, I got to pay for everybody else's baby. Man, fuck that, man. These people crazy.
Access to any of these federal monies. We want to promote choice in how we deliver family care and how we promote child care, because look, it is unacceptable. And, of course, Tim and I have been on the campaign trail a lot the past 7 or 8 weeks. And one of the biggest complaints I hear from young families is people who feel like they don't have options, like they're choosing between going to work or taking care for their kids.
Don't have no kids. Don't have no kids. Why y'all having kids and I got to pay? All right. And I got to figure out how you can survive around having kids. You guys want free houses. You think housing is a right? You think having kids is a right? You think killing your kid is a right? What's wrong with you people? All right. You think you think me taking care of the tax problems is a right? Man, please. You guys handle your own shit. All right. If you can't handle it, sink or swim, motherfucker. Survival of the fittest. All right. I'll just live away from you people and let you guys kill each other with the guns in school. I don't care, bruh. All right. It ain't my problem, man. Look, don't make it my problem either. Right? Crazy. Everybody want to do what the hell they want to do, but I got to pay for it and come up with the solution to solve your moronic issues. You should be able to have kids in healthcare and all. Please. All right, please. We need a system that supports the top performers, the talented 10th. Let's support instead of supporting the morons, why don't we support the successful people and maybe the morons will follow. All right, but that's my opinion.
That is an incredible burden to put on American families. We're the only country that does it. I think we could do a heck of a lot better.
Senator, thank you. You have also said, Senator Vance, many things about the American family. The Federal Reserve says parents will spend nearly as much on child care as they do on housing each month. So I want to get your thoughts on this. President Trump recently said, as much as child care is talked about as being expensive, it's relatively speaking not very expensive compared to the kinds of numbers we'll be taking in. Is President Trump committed to the $5,000 per child tax credit that you have described? You have 1 minute.
Well, what President Trump said, Margaret, I just want to defend my running mate here a little bit, is that we're going to be taking in a lot of money by penalizing companies for shipping jobs overseas and penalizing countries who employ slave laborers and then ship their products back into our country and undercut the wages of American workers. It's the heart of the Donald Trump economic plan. Cut taxes for American workers and American families. Cut taxes for businesses that are hiring and building companies in the United States of America, but penalize companies and countries that are shipping jobs overseas. That's the heart of the economic proposal. And I think what President Trump's saying is that when we bring in this additional revenue with higher economic growth, we're going to be able to provide paid family leave, childcare options that are viable and workable for a lot of American families.
Can you clarify how that will solve the childcare shortage?
Well, because as Tim said, a lot of the child care shortage is we just don't have enough resources going into the multiple people who could be providing family care options. And we're going to have to, unfortunately, look, we're going to have to spend more money. We're going to have to induce more people to want to provide child care options for American families, because the reason it's so expensive right now is because you've got way too few people providing this very essential service.
Thank you, Senator. Governor Walz, your ticket also has some child care tax credit proposals. Do you think Congress will agree to the $6,000 credit for newborns and $3,000 credit for children over the age of 6, as your campaign has promised? Is that realistic?
Terrible.
Well, if these members of Congress are listening to anybody, I can tell you, and this is the biggest issue. Everybody listening tonight knows. I mean, I'm sure they were shocked to hear it's not that expensive. And let's be clear, whether it's $5,000 or $6,000, that plays you about 3 or 4 months. Let's be clear of where we're at on this. It's because we got out of an imbalance on this. We thought we were going to get by not paying people. I don't think Senator Vance and I are that far apart. I'm not opposed to what he's talking about on options. We've done scholarship types of things. I think we need to be open to making the case. But the issue here is, the question you asked is, you're not going to pay for it with these tariffs. That's just adding another $4,000 on the family and taking less. So not only do they not get the money to pay for that, they're $4,000 in the hole. That's Wharton School. That's his alma mater. And so I think the issue here is, those members of Congress, I can't believe they're not. When I go to businesses, sure, they'll talk about taxes sometime, but they will lead with childcare and they will lead with housing, because we know the problem is, especially in a state like Minnesota, we need more workers because our economy is growing, but we need the workforce.
Governor, thank you. We need to move on. Nora?
Let's talk about the state of democracy, the top issue for Americans after the economy and inflation. After the 2020 election, President Trump's campaign and others filed 62 lawsuits contesting the results. Judges, including those appointed by President Trump and other Republican presidents, looked at the evidence and said there was no widespread fraud. The governors of every state in the nation, Republicans and Democrats, certified the 2020 election results and sent a legal slate of electors to Congress for January 6th. Senator Vance, you have said you would not have certified the last presidential election and would have asked the states to submit alternative electors. That has been called unconstitutional and illegal. Would you again seek to challenge this year's election results, even if every governor certifies the results? I'll give you 2 minutes.
Well, Nora, first of all, I think that we're focused on the future. We need to figure out how to solve the inflation crisis caused by Kamala Harris's policies, make housing affordable, make groceries affordable, and that's what we're focused on. But I want to answer your question because you did ask it. Look, what President Trump has said is that there were problems in 2020, and my own belief is that we should fight about those issues, debate those issues peacefully in the public square, and that's all I've said, and that's all that Donald Trump has said. Remember, he said that on January the 6th, the protesters ought to protest peacefully. And on January the 20th, what happened? Joe Biden became the president, Donald Trump left the White House, and now, of course, unfortunately, we have all of the negative policies that have come from the Harris-Biden administration. I believe that we actually do have a threat to democracy in this country, but unfortunately, it's not the threat to democracy that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want to talk about. It is the threat of censorship. It's Americans casting aside lifelong friendships because of disagreements over politics. It's big technology companies silencing their fellow citizens. And it's Kamala Harris saying that rather than debate and persuade her fellow Americans, she'd like to censor people who engage in misinformation. I think that is a much bigger threat to democracy than anything that we've seen in this country in the last 4 years, in the last 40 years. Now, I'm really proud, especially given that I was raised by 2 lifelong blue-collar Democrats, to have the endorsement of Bobby Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, lifelong leaders in the Democratic coalition. Of course, they don't agree with me and Donald Trump on every issue. We don't have to agree on every issue, but we're united behind a basic American First Amendment principle that we ought to debate our differences. We ought to argue about them. We ought to try to persuade our fellow Americans. Kamala Harris is engaged in censorship at an industrial scale. She did it during COVID. She's done it over a number of other issues, and that, to me, is a much bigger threat to democracy than what Donald Trump said when he said that protesters should peacefully protest on January 6th.
By the way, he didn't answer the question. All right, but yeah, he shuffled past that. But good deflect, redirect.
6th.
Governor?
Well, I've enjoyed tonight's debate. I think there was a lot of commonality here, and I'm sympathetic to misspeaking on things, and I think I might have with the senator.
Me too, man.
There's one, though, that this one is troubling to me, and I say that because I think we need to tell the story. Donald Trump refused to acknowledge this, and the fact is that I don't think we can be the frog in the pot and let the boiling water go up. He was very clear. I mean, he lost this election, and he said he didn't. 140 police officers were beaten at the Capitol that day, some with the American flag, several later died. And it wasn't just in there. In Minnesota, a group gathered on the state Capitol grounds in St. Paul and said, we're marching to the governor's residence and there may be casualties.
And guys, Minnesota burned down during George Floyd. He was the governor, if I'm not mistaken. Also, there were people marching through the suburbs and all of the suburban areas marching through. Remember, they had that white couple come out with the gun? All right. And it was a woman in a robe. Dude, they burned down Democratic cities all through 2020. And these guys keep harping on this shit. All right. I mean, this is crazy, bruh. More people died during the Summer of Love than in this particular, what do they call it, January 6th. All right, come on. This is ridiculous.
The only person there was my son and his dog, who was rushed out crying by state police. that issue and Mike Pence standing there as they were chanting, hang Mike Pence. Mike Pence made the right decision. So, Senator, it was adjudicated over and over and over. I worked with kids long enough to know, and I said as a football coach, sometimes you really want to win, but the democracy is bigger than winning an election. You shake hands, and then you try and do everything you can to help the other side win.
Dude, they were shooting in the middle of the street in Minnesota. All right, they were shooting and killing people in the middle of the street in Minnesota while he was the governor. All right, let's continue.
That's what was at stake here. Now, the thing I'm most concerned about is the idea that imprisoning your
well, I was just saying nationwide. I know that was Missouri. Stay with me. But he also burned down Minnesota, and he led it. But then that was Missouri. They also burned down Atlanta. They also burned down Santa Monica. They also burned down many places around the country. Wisconsin. What was the one of that place over there? Kenosha. They burned down many cities. People died. Nobody ever brings that up. They keep bringing up this issue. Only one person died. One person, and it was a woman, and she was a Trumper, apparently. All right, that's what I'm saying. Let's continue.
Political opponents are already laying the groundwork for people not accepting this. And a president's words matter. A president's words matter. People hear that. So,
by the way, Kamala Harris was trying to get pay bail for the people burning down in Minnesota. Who remembers that? Seattle, Portland, Oregon, the entire time. All right, people were dying. Kamala Harris was trying to get people bailed out that were committing these crimes. Nobody brings that up. Every time I hear about some police got beat up with American flags. All right, bruh, only one person died. All right, but people were dying nationwide during the Summer of Love in Chaz, Portland, all over all the liberal cities were burning up. Nobody bringing that shit up. Let's continue. They're talking about some police officers got beat with some umbrellas and some flags. All right, let's continue.
I think this issue of settling our differences at the ballot box, shaking hands when we lose, being honest about it, but to deny what happened on January 6th, the first time in American history that a president or anyone tried to overturn a fair election and the peaceful transfer of power. And here we are 4 years later in the same boat. I will tell you this, that when this is over, we need to shake hands this election, and the winner needs to be the winner. This has got to stop. It's tearing our country apart.
Margaret? Senator Vance, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, well, look, Tim, first of all, it's really rich for Democratic leaders to say that Donald Trump is a unique...
All right, just so you can see what I'm talking about. Kamala Harris backed bail funds set loose criminals who went on to be hit with deletion, DUI, death, and arson charges. This was reported right here. The Minnesota Freedom Fund, backed by Kamala Harris, helped bail out several people later hit with serious charges. What the fuck is y'all looking at? What country are y'all looking at? By the way, this is the New York Post. She was literally calling for people to send money to bail out these criminals burning down cities. All right, what are we talking about? Talking about January 6th. This is getting crazy, bruh. All right, this is getting crazy. It says right here, let me see here. All right, and people are trying to fact check it. Misinformation. Nah. Dude, she had tweets out. She had tweets out to try to bail these people out. Let me see if we can pull up the tweets. There it is. Kamala Harris, according to this tweet. Look, right there. They tried to fact check it, but there's the tweet right there. There's the tweet. Kamala Harris, January 1st, 2020. They tried to fact check it. Donate if you're able to chip in now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the grounds in Minnesota. Right there in your goddamn face. Come on, brothers, man. Hey, gotcha, bitch. I don't even follow politics like this, but I remember shit like this. This is not that hard to figure out. And then, look, Mike Cernovich, you are funding domestic terrorism. But they're talking about January 6th. This is not that hard to figure out if you're an American and you have a clear mind. This is right here in front of your face. People died. These people went on later to become criminals and kill people. All right, stop. And this is in the state of Minnesota with this goofy ass Tim Walz is from. Right there. That's right from her Twitter. Right there, January 1st, 2020. I'm looking right at it. But they're talking about what? They're talking about what? What day? January 6th, 2020? I can't remember what it was. 2021? It's right there. She didn't even delete the tweet. It's right there on Twitter. All right, stop. Stop. All right, it's over. The debate is
democracy
over.
When he peacefully gave over power on January the 20th, as we have done for 250 years in this country. We are going to shake hands after this debate and after this election. And of course, I hope that we win, and I think we're going to win. But if Tim Walz is the next vice president, he'll have my prayers, he'll have my best wishes, and he'll have my help whenever he wants it. But we have to remember that for years in this country, Democrats protested the results of elections. Hillary Clinton in 2016 said that Donald Trump had the election stolen by Vladimir Putin because the Russians bought like $500,000 worth of Facebook ads.
Facts.
This has been going on for a long time. And if we want to say that we need to respect the results of the election, I'm on board. But if we want to say, as Tim Walz is saying, that this is just a problem that Republicans have had, I don't buy that.
Governor.
January 6th was not Facebook ads. And I think a revisionist history on this. Look, I don't understand how we got to this point. But the issue was that happened. Donald Trump didn't do it. And all of us say there's no place for this. It has massive repercussions. This idea that there's censorship to stop people from threatening to kill someone, threatening to do something, that's not censorship. Censorship is book banning. We've seen that. We've seen that brought up. I just think for everyone tonight, and I'm going to thank Senator Vance. I think this is the conversation they want to hear. And I think there's a lot of agreement. This is one that we are miles apart on. This was a threat to our democracy in a way that we had not seen. And it manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say. He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
No.
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship. Obviously, Donald Trump and I think that there were problems in 2020.
Meta, Facebook.
We've talked about it. I'm happy to talk about it further. But you guys attack us for not believing in democracy. The most sacred right under the United States democracy is the First Amendment. You yourself have said there's no First Amendment right to misinformation. Kamala Harris wants to use the power of government and big tech to silence people from speaking their minds. That is a threat to democracy that will long outlive this present political moment. I would like Democrats and Republicans to both reject censorship. Let's persuade one another. Let's argue about ideas, and then let's come together afterwards.
You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. That's the test. That's the Supreme Court test.
Tim, fire in a crowded theater. You guys wanted to kick people off of Facebook for saying that toddlers shouldn't wear masks.
Senator, the governor does have the floor.
Oh, don't cut him off now. He was cooking. He was cooking.
Crowded theater. That is criticizing the policies of the government, which is the right of every American.
Senator, the governor does have the floor for 1 minute to respond to you.
Yeah. Well, I don't run Facebook. What I do know is I see a candidate out there who refused, and now again, and this I'm pretty shocked by this. He lost the election. This is not a debate. It's not anything anywhere other than in Donald Trump's world. Because look, when Mike Pence made that decision to certify that election, that's why Mike Pence isn't on this stage. What I'm concerned about is where is the firewall with Donald Trump? Where is the firewall if he knows he could do anything, including taking an election, and his vice president's not going to stand to it? That's what we're asking you, America. Will you stand up? Will you keep your oath of office, even if the president doesn't? And I think Kamala Harris would agree. She wouldn't have picked me if she didn't think I would do that, because of course that's what we would do. So, America, I think you've got a really clear choice on this election of who's going to honor that democracy and who's going to honor Donald Trump.
Governor, your time is up. Thank you, gentlemen. We will be right back with both of our candidates. The CBS News.
All right. Yeah, man, it's pretty much over. Yeah, you guys see it right here. Go ahead and take a screenshot right here. I'm going to screenshot it just so they don't delete the tweet now that I brought it up. Right there. All right. There's a girl. All right. Censorship, supporting domestic terrorism. They can bring up January 6th all that they want. All right. But I remember 2020 the entire time. And as a result, nobody has their hands clean in this political election at all whatsoever. Just briefly, I guess we're at the 3-hour mark, and I said I was going to cover this. So let's go ahead and cover it. This is what's going on with Kamala Harris here. Check this out. This is Slim Thug.
You black not represent for the black woman. Like, I can understand white people vote for Trump or any other race. You know what I'm saying? I can understand other races vote for Trump because they on some real. I'm going to vote for Kamala strictly because she black. I don't even know her mother policies.
Slim Thug, what are you doing? I remember I thought
Sorry, this is the Officer Tatum. Slim Thug saying that he's voting for Kamala just because she's black.
Black people, you're doing black people a disservice.
All right, let's hear it again.
How is you black not represent for the black woman? Like, I can understand white people vote for Trump or any other race. You know what I'm saying? I can understand other races vote for Trump because they on some real. I'm going to vote for Kamala strictly because she black. I don't even know her mother policies.
He don't even know her policies. We done, which brings us to these ninjas right here. Gangbanger basketball players. All of these boys have been operating as gangbangers as far as back as Matt Barnes been from Sacramento. He operated like a gangbanger. Steven Jackson, the known gangbanger. All right. Claim banker, if you will. All right. Always, you know, these guys right here are part of the Sambo committee, man. They just simply do things that are just mind-boggling. All right. So they, I guess Kamala Harris handpicked them to come on their show so she could promote her message. She had opportunities to say what she wanted to say. I'll give you my honest assessment of Kamala Harris' performance. She would be a good PTA president. She would be a good president of the Girl Scouts. All right, based on what I saw her perform, she's not a bad woman. I don't think she's a bad woman. She's just not president of the United States at all. All right, but she was giving good president of the Tupperware party. She was giving good president of the welcoming committee. That's what she was giving. All right, but she was giving nothing that told me president. By the way, they have 3 talking points. Talking point number 1, Trump bad. Talking point number 2, socialist talking point, $25,000 for a home, $5,000 child tax credit. All right, that's their basic economic policy. They got nothing past that. And then talking point number 3 is related to she's a middle class. She grew up in the middle class. That's it. That's all she's got. That's pretty much all she said on the show. But if you want to watch the video, go ahead and watch the video. Let's go ahead and give you just this part right here about her right here, talking about mental health, obvious, plans to improve the economy. Here we go.
Small business, black business. We actually just started our business in January. So we've grown from a show to a whole entire company. What is your
These ninjas didn't challenge her at all either.
kind of your economic plan moving forward for people who are living paycheck to paycheck and struggling for groceries and rent and homeowners?
So look, I grew up, so my sister and I were raised by our mother. We lived for a long time in an apartment on top of a child care center. That child care center was actually owned by a woman who lived 2 doors down from us, Mrs. Shelton, who was, by all of our accounts and feelings, our second mother. She helped raise us. And so she was a small business owner. So I'll start with the small business, and congratulations on what you guys have done. I, from a child, knew who our small business owners are, right? I mean, you're business leaders, but you're also civic leaders. You take seriously your voice and how you can mentor, how you can grow, right? Communities and the sense of communities. I love our small businesses. And so a lot of my work in terms of building and growing the economy has focused on small businesses. And my vision overall is we need to build an opportunity economy in which we increase opportunity for all, including small business owners. So a lot of my work, even in the Senate, was about increasing access to capital through our small businesses, and in particular through our community banks. So I've been responsible for billions of dollars more now going into our community banks, because they're in the community, and then they know who's in the community and where the talent is and who's doing good in the community, what the community wants. And so part of my plan as president is to give small businesses, startups, a tax deduction of $50,000 to startup.
All right, so there's the other, again, this is the, here we go again, bro. I mean, here we go. They just be giving away money left and right. Do you guys know that's going to increase inflation? I mean, by the way, if you guys think this is wrong, we had somebody actually testify to Kamala Harris is the reason for the increased inflation. This guy right here talked about it right here just briefly. They're all just going to print more money.
Thriving right now. This inflation, which by the way was brought to us by Kamala Harris, has really slowed down people from being able to excel.
By Kamala?
Yes.
Vice president.
Oh, Charlemagne.
Still the president.
Charlemagne, listen, man. When Joe Biden wanted to do his American Rescue Plan, Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote in the United States Senate. She broke the tide and started this inflation that has hurt so many people in our country. Everybody listening to your show. It's not true?
First of all, it is true that it's a tie-breaking vote.
You sure you want to go there?
When you go outside, Congressman, when you go outside,
you sure you want to go there? Okay, let's go there.
You
got notes. You got notes, Angela.
That's fine. I have notes.
I'm gonna give it to Charlemagne.
I have today
I'm gonna give it to Charlemagne.
is that on every question I've asked,
because Angela,
for every infrastructure,
I forgot I got super chats.
You should go out and thank Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the Congress that voted for the American Rescue Plan. That's what should be happening.
Larry Summers wrote an op-ed back in 2021. Larry Summers was the Treasury Secretary for Bill Clinton. He was an economic advisor to Barack Obama. He said that the American Rescue Plan that Joe Biden wanted, that Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote in the United States Senate, would create a massive inflation that we have not seen in a generation. Well, guess what? Larry Summers was correct. You know who also was correct, Angela? I was, because I was in the Budget Committee when they brought the bill. And I said in that committee, it's going to cause massive inflation. That's what happened.
All right, so let me stop right here. That's Byron Daniels. I believe he is out of, correct me if I'm wrong, Florida or South Carolina. I'm not sure. Representative in that right there. So for when people don't realize, when you hear things like, I'm going to give this, I'm going to give that, that is going to cause inflation. Just so you guys know. That's just printing money and giving it to people, and these people are going to squander it. All right, that's what we know. But I'm welcoming giving people opportunities. But just by saying I'm going to give people this, I'm going to give people that, and then eating it up in inflation costs, well, a $5,000 tax credit getting eaten up in inflation means nothing, right? A $5,000 tax credit when inflation is going crazy does nothing. It just eats up the money. So I got the $5,000, but it poured it right back. All right. Or the $5,000 meant less, or the $5,000 created a competition for housing, the $25,000 for housing, the $50,000 to start a business. It just makes more inflation. So he's even pointing that out. But I just wanted to point that out. Let's go ahead and continue here.
Because right now the tax deduction is $5,000.
Can't do nothing with that.
That's exactly right.
Mm-mm.
And see, the thing we know is that most of our small business, our entrepreneurs who want to start a small business, got a great idea, have incredible work ethic, but they weren't handed a bunch of money on a silver tray.
Right.
And they just need to get their foot in the door. So there is that. There is what I need to do and what we need to do around making housing and rent more affordable.
Here we go.
Part of the problem there is we have a housing supply shortage. My plan includes giving tax incentives for home builders to build 3 million more homes by the end of my first term.
We don't know where that's going to be. Apparently, we're opening up the federal and national forest. Let's continue.
To increase supply to bring down cost. And to increase home ownership.
How?
A $25,000.
Everybody, even the woman in the debate, the moderator said, isn't that going to increase the prices? More than likely.
Down payment assistance to first-time home buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, people just need to get their foot in the door.
They'll grind after that.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right.
They'll grind after.
By the way, you're going to get priced out of any marketplace where you're bringing in $25K extra dollars, whatever you're bringing back. You're going to get priced out of the marketplace really fast by cash purchases and shit like that. Let's continue.
That's exactly right. And we know home ownership, especially for the community, that's the fastest, most effective, and most sure ways to build intergenerational wealth.
That's true.
It's then when your child says, I want to go to an HBCU or some other college, and you say, well, honey, you don't have to take out a student loan. I'm going to take some equity out of the house.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or your child says, I want to start up a small business, and you can say, let me take some equity and help you.
Man, this is the dumbest. Okay, listen, people do this, by the way. People do this, but now you're saying don't take out student loan debt. Everybody's going to take equity out of their house, assuming they have equity. I mean, we're causing some... Dude, we are letting the dumb do dumber things. Yes, she is right. People do build generational wealth. People do take equity out of their home to pay off student loans. So your system is to get people in a house, take out equity and pay. Instead of taking student loans, you're going to make these people take out equities in a second mortgage, a HELOC. All right, the dumbest people in the world. Right, you're just assuming there's going to be equity. How do you know there's going to be equity? I mean, this is insane that what we do to people to give them a right to feel like they belong. Oh man, this is insane, bro. I mean, anybody that thinks she's out here saying anything ingenious, this is insanity, bro. Bring on the socialism at this point. Bring on the socialism. Right. This is insanity, bruh.
First, what is that business? Let me make sure it's not no I'm playing.
Well, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I get you saying. You have something to pull from.
Right, you have something where it's about intergenerational wealth. Because see, here's how I feel about the economy and the economy I want to grow.
Yep, nobody moving from that house. You'll live in that house forever, fam.
We have, over the last 4 years, reduced black unemployment to the lowest it has been in decades, okay? That is an accomplishment.
Yep.
However, I believe, need to measure our success not just only about everybody's working, but can you build wealth?
Mm-hmm. Can you start saving?
Can you start saving? Mm-hmm. Can you buy a home? Can you start saving to take your family on vacation from time to time? Mm-hmm. Can you save enough so that Christmas time for you and your children is not stressful, but something enjoyable, right? And so...
And look at these ninjas. Between him, Slim Thug, look at him. Submissive position. They don't know what the hell they talking about. They don't even know what she's talking about because they too busy being high on marijuana and dope and gangbanging at 46. These guys are clueless. And look at the passive position they're in. Clueless. Not challenging her, nothing. Same as that Slim Thug. All right, I don't care what her policies is, son. She a black woman. Just straight up goofies. These ninjas, right? Look at this. And, bruh, oh, my Lord.
It's about, yes, we got to make sure that we have high employment, but also that we create
She talking over their heads.
Opportunities for people to build wealth.
Get ahead.
Part of my plan is also to expand the child tax credit. $6,000 in the first year of your child's life.
Man, I could have used that one.
Because you know what that means.
Steven Jackson is completely lost. He smoked up so much dope in his life. He don't know if he coming or he don't even know where he is. He ain't asking questions, nothing. Absolutely gone. Right? He don't even know what she talking about. He thinking about smoking another joint.
First year, that's such a critical stage of a child's development. And it's expensive. A family's got to buy a car seat, a crib, the things that...
The necessities.
Because I start from the perspective that the vast majority of parents want to raise their children well. They love their children, but don't necessarily have the...
You hear the audio correction? Suspect.
Resources they need. And if we understand that the children of a community are the children of the community, from the perspective that the vast majority of parents want to raise their children well, they love their children.
I mean, you know, sometimes your mic does go out in your podcast, but there was a mic correction there.
But don't necessarily have the resources they need. And if we understand that the children of a community are the children of the community, we'll understand that an investment in something like the first year of a child's life benefits all of us. Mm-hmm. But these are things about building what I call an opportunity economy, which is about helping people not just to get by, but to get ahead.
And man, let me tell you, bro, I don't even want to review this. I know I got to get to these super chats. All right, bro. Like, what is she talking about? You notice these politicians, all of them, Donald Trump included, they're all pandering to the low frequency people of America. Why? Because they need their vote. Obviously, when they get into office, they're not going to do anything, especially to the Negro, the American so-called black person. They're out here doing all these podcasts and tap dancing and all this stuff in front of you. They're doing nothing for you. And they'll tell you this, as soon as they get into office on January 6th, they're going to do absolutely nothing for you. Same goes to all of the fracking people and all of these people. They'll get their shit across and they'll really do their damage when they get into office. They're really going to focus on the elite and the wealthy people. They just need to pander for your vote so they can get in there. As soon as they get in there, they're going to hand you a crumb and say, go fuck yourself. All right. That's what they're going to do. All right. So let's just get that straight. All right. Let's get that straight. All right. So it don't matter at the end of the day what these people are saying. That goes for Tim Walsh, J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, and Kamala Harris. They going to do for self when they get in there. All right, they going to do what's in their own best interest. And they don't have to report back to you people. Next time they report back to you will be the next election cycle. All right, so they're doing nothing for you. At the end of the day, it's about what you do. All right, Kamala Harris can't deliver the female rights. She can't deliver on that. They're not going to pack the court anytime soon. They would have to change the whole Constitution. They ain't doing it. All right, so that's neither here nor there. They would need the House and the Senate and the executive to be able to even try to attempt to carry out packing the court. That's a pipe dream. You guys are just dealing with lottery. Your old system is a lottery. All of you people that are listening to these politicians, all you hearing is lottery. If I get in, I'm going to make you win the lottery. If you get me in, I'm going to make you win the lottery. They ain't fixing to do absolutely nothing. So at the end of the day, it's about what you need to do. And you need to do it daily, yearly, monthly. You need to do this over periods of years to make the best decision about yourself. That's a fact. You people. All right, they doing nothing for you. All they going to do is for themselves. So anyway, let me get to these super chats. All right, I'm sorry. I was doing the whole thing. I know most of the time people don't super chat much once I'm doing something like that, but once I do a show like this, because people know I'm not going to read it. All right, so they're doing nothing for the so-called black community. They're doing nothing for the impoverished and poor people. They're doing nothing. They're just trying to get into the office. All right, trying to get a lottery for you ninjas. Fixes a buy and says only people saying stop being political are Democrats because they know they are wrong and they can't stand the heat. Yep, we don't want to talk about this, coach. This is the most important thing going on in your life right now. Indeed. All right, how many far back do I need to go back on these super chats? I know there's not that many. We'll get them all, though. All right, shout out to G. Lee, says CGA. There's literally a service for women where they pay to get their house broken into at any time within 365 days. Huh? During their break-in, they get graded. Gentlemen, be careful. What? NGN, Western women's priority is number 1, themselves. Number 2, cats and dogs. Number 3, kids. Notice how I didn't mention men, family, or society. That's deliberate. Do you agree? Men, have you heard any of these policies benefit men? Zero. JC says, what type of ninjas apply to be OnlyFans recruiters is beyond me. I'm convinced ninjas have no decorum. All their plans include punani. If you look at most low-frequency black men, punani is their number one priority. All right, everything they do includes punani. All right, in GN, only black men prioritize not working and or paying. He says, can you explain why PUAs and mouthpiece guys treat random women like streetwalkers yet brag about not paying just to get laid when they want the sex? When all they want is sex, not marriage. Are they aware of the cognitive dissonance? No, because they're low frequency, period. Mystic Nerd says the Democrats just played the age card on Trump. They did. They did. He says right here, mental illness will be created in those who overlook Biden's old ass age 4 years ago while making it an issue now. For real, they did. They did. And Tim Walz did it. NGN, climate change in a nutshell is essentially the government's biggest psyops, and it excuses an excuse to gain control over all the means of production, socialism, all right, not corporations, so that the government can have ultimate control over the citizens, right? And so that's the basis of communism. Basically, the state runs things, all right? We need to run this, we need to run that. And then when they run it, they decide who gets it. That's a disaster. I don't know how you guys don't see that coming. So they're trying to get their greedy hands in things that they don't produce. The corporations have it, right? You have it, right? You have the ability to grow your own food. But what socialism or communism does, they say, okay, you can grow your own food. However, we get to tell what you do with the food. So you grow your own food. Basically, they make you slaves to your own property. Then they come in and they say, well, we get to tell you what to do. And then they basically ration it out to whoever they want. This creates famine. This creates unfair opportunities because you spread it out amongst all people. This is literally, yes, it's called rationing because they basically make you work for it. Then they take it from you. Then they distribute it across however they see fit. Ultimately, you get disenfranchised. Like, this is a disaster, all right? But, people don't know history at all. You don't want the government kind of going into the corporations and telling them what they have to do and then gaining control and leverage over it. Shout out to Anthony D91 says, not earthquakes. The climate is causing more lunar and solar eclipses. Oh, no. All right. Sucker for Love Ninja says, the bigger the food pot, the tastier the chalupa. He says, shout out to the Nasty Boys. Two in the Pink One Instinct says, to summarize this debate, Tampon Tim said, don't come, don't come. JD said, cooking with hot oil. Vance said, I'm gonna come. Indeed. All right. Cody Draper, the reason why men are using AI robots is because they are having a hard time with women. How do you feel about AI female robots? I'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I don't care. Fuck on the robot, though. All right, but there'll be a lot of peace leave out here be for sale. Shout out to No Government Name. Why do commies always talk about and are obsessed with the word fair? Is it because of envy or entitlement? Life isn't fair. Nature and reality is indifferent and immoral. I believe in the standards of what they call survival of the fittest, evolution. The fit will survive. The people that are not fit will not survive, period. All right, life is a competition. All right, it sucks that people get an unfair start. All right, but yeah, this whole thing about fair and we need to help these people and we need to look. Not Kamala, Tim Walsh. They were talking literally about child care for a system that they're saying this is primarily women. This is feminism, where even JD Vance says my wife is a beautiful corporate litigator. So what they're saying is women should have the opportunity to work. That's basically what they're saying. So they're pro-feminism. They're pro-dual income. Okay, if that's y'all's solution, if y'all gonna ride with that, because previously we had one parent raising a child. Elizabeth Warren agreed with this as well. One parent raising, one parent working. Now, because y'all think everybody should have a competitive landscape and women should give an equal opportunity to pursue whatever career they want, now we have this problem with childcare. So instead of solving the problem by saying, hey, you guys figure out your own family structure and make it work. If you don't, you shit out of luck. Now we got to solve for the people that are making their own conscious choice. Having 1, 2, and 3 children, that now we got to solve for the problem of childcare. Why? Why is that our problem? Like, they decided that. Remember, when she gets pregnant, it's none of our business. Now it's our business. Now we got to solve, because now we got to make childcare workers, we got to make it more lucrative so they can come in and break graham crackers. They can come in and change pissy underwear. So they can come in and have people write ABC. Now these people got to make $100,000 a year. So now we got to make it more lucrative for childcare workers, because they have a shortage of childcare workers. Why? Because we have a lot of people having children they can't afford, and they're dumping them in daycare, which even Susan Banker said daycare is not supposed to be the first option. Let me say this again. Daycare is not supposed to be the first option. Women are using it. Families are using daycare as option number 1. That's not how it works. That daycare was supposed to be your last option, not your first. Why pay somebody $100,000 to break graham crackers and stir up motherfucking oodles with noodles? Nobody wants to pay that. Nobody wants to pay somebody to teach a kid to put their shoe on the right foot and Velcro that shit. Nobody wants to pay for kids to not learn how to scrabble on the wall. Why is the government getting involved in daycare? See, this whole government intervention and everything is problematic to me. Instead of telling people, make a good damn decision. I mean, come on, bro. So women can go to work and fairly compete without having to fall out of the marketplace. All right, because they could have made a good employee, but instead they got to stay at home and create motherfucking ants on a log. Celery and peanut butter and raisins. She could have been a good corporate litigator and contributed to our economy, but she at home making dino chicken nuggets and tombstone pieces for lunch. How about we plan our families out instead of aborting 98% of the abortions related to women can't afford the kid? Creating future criminals in daycare while paying these daycare workers to teach people how to tie their shoe, $80,000. This is crazy, bro. What is wrong with you people? It's crazy. Like, people are nuts. I don't get it, bro. Like, what are we doing? We hustling backwards like a mother sucker. We hustling backwards. All so we can have some kid play with his Lightning McQueen car and he can remember to forget his jacket in the cubicle when he goes home. Shout out to Kayla says, Coach. I already got that one right there. Man, hit the subscribe button. You hearing the hardcore truth, man. We need to put some onus back on the people to make good decisions, man. People are out here doing absolute morons for these future criminals to eat Fruit Loops in the morning and get dished out Pop-Tarts so their mother can go to work as a corporate litigator. All right, so these kids can eat more red dye number 11. Shout out to Sizzo says, what's up, Coach? My buddy back in Boston is watching tonight, and he reported to me that people in Boston are a Democratic state, but many are voting for Trump simply off of his values for America. Play the new Trump noise. Shout out to you.
I'm a big fan of Coach Greg Adams. I encourage you to reflect and consider his free agent lifestyle philosophy. Coach Greg is helping men become great again. Do him a favor and hit the like button when you watch his content.
All right, you guys giving your kids toaster strudels in the morning, shuffling them out to daycare early as you can, and picking them up as late as you can so you can go to happy hour and fuck your boyfriend before you pick up your kids. Nobody want to do this for you goofballs. All right, be better people. Be better. All right, we got our brother here, NGN, says women hate being objectified by men, but love to be objectified by the government. That's Aaron Clary. That's a fact. Too much government. Government do this. Guys, the government don't do nothing, bro. They don't be doing nothing. Ask yourself, what does the government create? I ain't trying to start shit with them, but they don't create anything. They just put their hands in everything. And then be like, we'll fix it. You need a solution? Yeah, okay, all right, we'll fix it. What we'll do is, and they come in with their bullshit. All right, I want less government. That's it. Libertarian. I'm not really a Republican either. I just want less of this bullshit government trying to solve the human people's problems. The Americans are doing everything wrong, and then when it doesn't work, and you're doing it wrong against all principles of nature, all across the board, you're doing everything wrong, and then you go to the government, hey, can you fix this? You idiots.
Silence, you fool.
They don't do nothing. They don't create nothing. They don't create jobs. They don't do anything. They just basically take the results or whatever. We grow the food. They take it. All right. There's land. We build on it. They tax you. They didn't even build a house on it. They just let you build a house on it. And they said, you want it? We'll pay. You got to pay me. Just stop. Stop with the president's going to solve it. They have no solutions. Not for me, they don't. For you, they might. Shout out to Cesar Quintana with the co-sponsorship.
I'm rich, bitch.
All right, he says, when they're talking about solving the child care issue, Vance should have said, we are going to deport the old Mexican ladies so they can take care of the white kids like they do in South Orange County. Right, Coach? Facts. We're not going to deport the Mexican chicks. Hey, man. Hey, by the way, if you're anti-immigration, shout out to Cesar. He knows that in South Orange County, these Mexican women and all the Latino women, they be out here taking care and raising these kids. I find it interesting. People are pro-deportation, they're anti-immigration, but there are a lot of people that are employing these people. This is the new low wage, I call it pretty much slave economy, if you will. All right, this is what the African Americans were subjected to doing in the 40s and 50s, and then they kind of climbed out of that in the 60s and 70s to try to integrate themselves into the competitive workspace. It hasn't worked, right? Because you've had affirmative action and DEI, and both of them actually been completely railroaded. So you've had this failure of the African American to really assimilate and integrate into the culture successfully. But what they did was climb out of these programs, these jobs, these black jobs, nursing, jobs like maids and cleanup services, and right, because black people we ain't gonna do those jobs. We should be able to compete up here and integrate into a competitive workforce. And I agree to an extent. However, you left the gate wide open for Rosalinda and Hector, right? Right? Rosalinda and Hector then came in underneath and undercut all of those potential wage jobs at low wages, off the record, cash businesses, and they cleaning up landscaping, house cleaning. They cleaning up motels, fast food restaurants, construction. You name it, across the board, they're cleaning up. And it's not just on the West Coast. It is literally nationwide. So that's left a gulf between that class of people, which are the low-wage classes. They're coming in across the border massively. I don't know how Kamala Harris trying to pass that buck. That was on their watch. They're coming in and they're undercutting that culture. Then what happens is, what do you do in the middle? Because the middle people are trying to get to the top, but you can't even get to the middle. And so they're coming over, you lazy Americans. You don't want to do these low-wage jobs. Although, if you want to do them, you want $20,000 and $30,000. Wait, you want $20 and $30 an hour, where Rosalinda's going to do it for $11 an hour. She's going to do it for $11. That's the problem with the immigrants, and the problem with the middle class and the lower middle class and African Americans in general, the so-called black people, is you're being undercut by the immigrants 100%. Auto repair, all the way up the range. Anything that I need repaired in my house, a Mexican coming. All right, nobody black coming. Unless you live in an all-black area, Mexicans going to come and do the job. All right, so this is where you're going to have a problem. And this is where then you look for the government to solve the problem. You shit out of luck. Right? You shit out of luck. All right, because you're not going to solve for that. You guys gave up on it. You guys gave up the seat. And then when you want to do the job, you want $20, $30 an hour to do it. Nah, bruh. And you're going to do a shitty job, half-ass job, want a smoke break. You want a union. You want an hour lunch. You want health care and benefits. All right. You want $100,000 a year to break graham crackers in child care facilities. Mexicans are going to do it. And they going to come in here. I don't care. All the South Americans, Guatemalans, Hondurans, Costa Ricans, Haitians, they coming in. They coming in. They going to take them jobs up. And they going to do it for dirt cheap under the table so they don't get taxed. All right. And they going to do it until they figure it out. And the criminals coming with them. So this is where the problem is. The government cannot solve for that. In fact, it behooves the government. It's in the best benefit to allow those people to come in and replace that group of people that want the $30, $40 an hour jobs. The government said, well, listen, we'll solve for that. We'll bring in cheap labor. And every country has thrived on cheap or free labor, not on paying people competitive wages, not by paying people good wages. That is never the solution. The country cannot be profitable paying everybody $20, $30, $40, $50 an hour, making you $100K to break graham crackers. That ain't never going to happen. Never. Bruh, the country going to go into debt. Well, it's already in debt. The country will collapse paying people competitive wages. Right? Listen. And I'm not all for slavery or free wages or paying people cheap wages. I'm not for it. But no country has ever thrived paying people big dough to do low-skilled jobs. You need cheap labor, and America knows it. Everybody knows it. All right? So you're not paying McDonald's employees $20, $40 an hour to drop fries. It ain't going to happen. All right? Ain't going to happen. Right? So anyway, hence slavery. America was built on free labor first, cheap labor second. All right? And it will continue like that, whether you like it or not. Whether you think that's fair or not, I don't care what's fair. But nobody has ever had a successful country paying people competitive wages, meaning that you're low skilled, you're low frequency, you're low effort, you're low work ethic, but you're getting $20, $40 an hour. Ain't gonna happen. They'll open the border wide open. They'll even risk bringing criminals across to prevent that alone. Now, if you disagree with me, I don't care what the hell you tell me, bro. It is obvious. That's obvious principles of economics. That's principles of economics. Now, you might disagree with it because it's inhumane and it's racist. I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing if it should be done or if it's humane or racist or not. I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing the basic principles of profit. That's all I'm arguing. If you don't want to be that, you better figure out a way around it. And crying ain't going to change it. Neither is vote. None of that shit. That is the honest to God truth. I'm giving y'all the honest to God truth. It is what it is. That you can look through thousands of years of history, and that's how it worked. And America will be no different. It's going to work exactly like that. Nobody needs to make you guys have affordable houses. Nobody needs to make you be able to support your family of 5. That's not our issue. That's your problem. That ain't mine. So don't make it my problem because I'm going to vote no on that. All right, yo, shout out to Ryder says, let me get this straight. Women tell me it's none of my business when it comes to her having and making a baby, but all of a sudden it's my business when the baby needs housing and food. Make it make sense. All right, 100% fact. And that's why women will say, well, I'll just delete the baby if you ain't going to help me support it. That's where we are at, bro. I mean, this all started when we started letting people do what they wanted to do instead of making them say, nah, this is how we're going to build our society and community. When everybody starts saying, well, women can work and we can stay single and men don't have to marry. When now we have all this chaos. Now we're trying to solve problems with all this chaos. I've been saying for the beginning, this female independence is absolutely fraudulent. And you know what's worse? You know what's worse? The worst part is we haven't seen the worst. Wait till the majority of these people, and the data's already out. I present it every week. The data's out. Wait till all of these women are 60 and 70 and 80. Damn 50. Just wait. So the boomers and Gen X and millennials are 50, 60, and 70. You ain't seen shit yet. They will vote socialism in because you ain't seen the end of it. You ain't seen the worst of the woman's economic issues. I find it interesting. Kamala Harris can't get rid of the student loan debt, so she's telling people she's going to get you in a house so you can fucking get a HELOC and pay off your kids' debt. I mean, bruh, I think we're in trouble. That's why I wrote my book, The Evolution. It's doom and gloom. Just wait till 20, 30 years from now. It's going to be an absolute shit show. When these women face the reality of being 70 with an $80,000 student loan bill still on their jacket. Just wait. Just wait, bro. We ain't even seen the end of this feminism shit. When 80-year-old women selling punani. Because the 20, 30-year-old women selling it. And they going to be 40, 50 years old selling it. All right. All right. And there's no solution coming. They tried to get rid of the student loan. Couldn't. Now they trying to do what? They trying to get y'all to, what's the next thing? They trying to get the early termination of pregnancy. They can't do that either. Right. All right. Medicare, Medicaid. They already have problems with the Medicare system. They already got problems with that. Just wait, bro. Just wait. Read my book, The Evolution. There's no getting out of this. We screwed the pooch. Bottom line, we screwed the pooch. We went a little too far left, and now we're trying to course correct, but it's too late. It's too late. And if you don't believe me, then just look at where we're at now. All right, look at where we're at now. I don't think there's no course correct. It's going to be socialism, bro. I show you these stories every week like I'm making it up. I mean, it's not like I'm making this up. Just wait. Oh, don't let there be a war. New world order. People not retiring. I see a lot of women working at grocery stores and men 70, pushing around, trying to make shit happen. I'm like, man, just wait. Let this Social Security run out. And it will. They're already telling you it's running out. It's going to be problematic. So nobody has Social Security to lean on. The majority of women age 40 and up have no money saved for retirement. The majority, we're talking about 70, 80% of them. Okay, many of them are single. What do I tell you? We're at the point of no return in the moment of truth. I've been telling you this for 5 or 6 years. Don't tell me about optimism. I don't see it. We got 2 presidential candidates. Neither of them can solve this. I mean, neither of them can solve this. We're at the point of no return in the moment of truth. My point, somebody's going to ask me for the solution. Save yourself. That's been my solution the entire time. Save yourself. Sink or swim. Don't take on dead weight. Don't fall in love. Don't get married now. Don't bring in kids now. Save yourself. These women ain't going to have alimony. They got Me Too movement now. They suing Diddy. All right. Save yourself. All right. People are like, what we going to do, coach? Save yourself. I got a book called The Free Agent Lifestyle. Save yourself. All right. Because save yourself. And who wants to bet against me right now? Who wants to bet against me? You can't bet against me, bruh. All right. I got this shit on lock. I wrote 2 books on this. The Evolution and The Free Agent Lifestyle. Look them up. Get them there. It's all right there in print. Save yourself. Free Agent Lifestyle is saving yourself. Right. Don't try to save this community. Community far too gone, bro. They are on the reservation and they don't realize it. All right. And there's no saving them. So black woman president ain't going to save them. I don't give a fuck, bro. Nothing saving them. They're on the reservation and they don't realize it. All right. Reservations are meant to keep you there. They're not getting out of this. There's not going to be community. All of a sudden, it's going to be a thriving economy. Ain't going to happen. They don't realize it. They're on a sinking ship. All right. They're on a sinking ship. All right. If you can escape the reservation and the plantation, escape it. That's my advice. Anyway, you can't beat my philosophy here. You just hope I'm going to be wrong. And remember this. Hope is not a strategy. You can't hope that I'm wrong. You have to prove that I'll be wrong. And you can't do it. Shout out to y'all. Save yourself. All right. Take care of yourself and your health and live the best possible life that you can. Because with these low frequency people, man, they are trying to lead you down. They're leading you into a burning house. Vaughn says at this point, Kamala doesn't even need to be doing any interviews. She's just saying the same thing on all of them. All right. She could just record herself on tape recorder and send it out to the media outlets so they can play it on repeat. It's wild how many people are failing and falling for her sham. Yep. And Loud Pocket says, Coach, he says, well said, cruise ships have those lower ticket price because they operate in the ocean, no labor laws. Cruise liners get workers from Jamaica, Caribbean, and the DR to cook, clean for pennies on the dollar. And if you ever been on a cruise ship, you'll find that. When I was in Rome and I was in the Mediterranean, they got all kind of people from Asian countries to work on those ships for pennies on the dollar. Facts. Stay strong. Stay in strong communities. Stay around strong, like-minded people. Do not feel bad for people who basically don't have a mindset to get out of the situation. Shout out to the Coach Gang. We out of here. Peace.